Trans rights. Hello and welcome to the Nen Show Podcast. I am the co-host Mathwiz, here with the regular host, who let me do the intro this time. It's Craftsdwarf. We're talking about the election arc. We're talking about Aluka.
Me, Craftsdwarf. Hello. Yep, we are getting right into it. Well, no, we're not.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. This is why I don't normally do the intros.
No, it's fine. Do you have comments?
I have, I think, one comment.
Yeah, I didn't see, but anyway, go ahead.
It was by the username V, which is, I guess it was like taking a comment posted on from some Reddit thing, but it was in regards to the Netero limb thing, where like in the Hunter exam, he didn't use his right hand or left leg as like a deliberate thing. So you could say like that was like him handicapping himself, and like those are his preferred limbs. And so like when when he's fighting Meruem, Meruem like sees Netero as kind of the, you know, like this is what like humanity is capable of, and so like by respecting him, I guess when Meruem attacked like his non-preferred limbs, which is as a way of like, it's described as like he tried to leave him in the best condition while winning. I don't know. It was something about like respecting humanity.
True, that makes more sense, because like when you, just as you were saying that, it made me think of like how you could also say he's going for the weaker limbs, because those are the ones he's paying less attention to. He's, you know, in his rhythm, he's making them more vulnerable, so you could say. But I like that explanation better.
Because it even goes into detail, like every panel in the manga where it shows him like doing his punches, it's always him like using his right hand and the left leg stepping forward. So, and it was all about like how in the battle it's, you know, so unconscious, like it can't even really be called a bias, but you know, it's
yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that is, because I only just noticed it on the podcast. So, but anyway, so as for discussion today, it is the last Hunter x Hunter discussion. So next time we'll be reading Soul Eater. I'll list the chapters in the description. It does start with apparently chapters like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. Those we are reading. They're included, basically. I think that was in the arc listing that I got of the full everything. There's some awkward spots in the arc listing, but it can't really be helped, just because of like how much we're reading and how much we usually read on average. So, yep, Soul Eater's next. So, but then for this discussion, we're doing the Kurapika special. We're not doing the Hisoka special. I have not read it yet. I haven't heard good things about it, but I'll probably give it a shot when I catch up to the manga, just to see what it is. It's not by Togashi, so that's another part of the reason it's not. Yeah, we've discussed every major Togashi thing that's been translated, I think. Like I don't know if his other series, like the Cupid one he did before Yakusho, was translated. But we talked about Level E a bit, so.
Yeah, I have not read the Hisoka special either, because like I heard it wasn't by Togashi, and I was like, maybe someday.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then we'll discuss the Kurapika special. Then we'll do the actual 13th election arc, and then we're gonna do our typical end of series. Catch up, arc rankings, characters, and fights that we liked. Until. We continue the Hunter x Hunter discussion with the end of the Succession War, whenever that might be. I'd love to see that. I'd love to talk about it. I don't know when that will be, so very sad. So anyway, did you want to do like a broad discussion of the Kurapika special, or go through like page by page like we usually do?
I mean that's up to you, because I mean it's like, I don't know. I'm not really sure like really how to. No, I don't know.
Well, let's just do it broadly, because just to keep it quicker. So I don't know, what did you think overall of was this your first time reading it? Because I am rereading it here.
No, I had read it before, and then it also pops up again, not the whole thing, but like part of it pops up in the Phantom Rogue movie, which I think is like why this was written, like it was a tie-in for that. But I thought I had also remembered hearing somewhere that like this was like Togashi had conceptualized this back in like the York New arc, but hadn't been able to tie it in.
Makes sense.
But I don't remember where I heard
yeah.
that, so take that with a grain of salt.
I mean, it makes sense just because, like, you know, he would have had Kurapika's backstory in mind, and like, is the Kurta clan like, you know?
Because I know at like the climax of it when he's like, you know, he doesn't want to lose anyone else, and it's like Gon and Killua, and then it's like you see Pyro briefly, but you don't know who he is at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like what I thought, I mean, I like this as you know, it seems to work for Kurapika's story, and as well as, you know, how kind of Kurapika's character arc kind of plays off of Gon's in ways I think I touched on before in the York New episode. Because like here you see kind of Kurapika almost as like a different person, like before who he was before his clan was massacred, which would obviously completely, you know, recontextualize how he views the world and how he's going to act within it.
Yes.
But, you know, he's, you know, going out and like trying to explore the world, and it's about, you know, going out to just, you know, enjoy the world. And what was it? Pyro says at the end, like, you know, make sure that when you come back that you can say, yeah, I had fun, or, you know, answer that question honestly, like you went and you enjoyed yourself. And so it is kind of interesting to see that mindset get kind of flipped on its head through what happens here, obviously. And then, so like, this is Kurapika before Kurapika became, you know, Kurapika. Like, this is just that more like innocent, childlike version.
Like, even when he was doing the test, there was a moment where he's like getting excited, and Pyro's like, no, stop, you don't want to trigger, you know, your eyes and fail the test. Like, he can't even enjoy the outside world just because of, like, you know, or, you know, he's not supposed to as a Kurta clan member, in a sense, just for at least the test, because, you know, he doesn't want his eyes, like, intense emotions, just, there's, like, a kind of dissonance with the Kurtas and the world, in a sense, like, you could say, and, I don't know, I'm not sure, you know, what that's in service to, because, like, they're, you know, but, we'll get more of them, I'm sure, or in sort of retroactively, because, I know what's happening in the manga, and what certain characters involved in things, but I won't say more about that. But I don't know. I also thought, yeah, it was interesting for a Kurapika's character, you know, because you see this like full happy boy, and you're like, this is the edgelord who gets really mad when he sees a spider. Like, you know, it's sad, it's tragic, and
I think one of my favorite parts is when like the elder gets a hold of the book, and he's like, "Oh, what'd you think? You read the book? What'd you think of the book?" And he's like so excited. And
yeah, no, and then also when he was doing the test to leave, and he's like better at and then the actual examiner, which is it's funny. I guess, and also just like thematic thing, more of what it was doing on its own is it's sort of like touching on, I guess, power relations. Like, Pyro saved Kurapika, like, he was strong in his own way, but then he got hurt, and so like they, you know, Kurapika still respects Pyro's strength. Like, that's why he got mad when the thug was like, oh, it's just a cripple, like, you know, because he's disrespecting Pyro's, like, you know, because he, even though, yeah, he was hurt, that, like, that's still a mark of, you know, his strength as a character for saving Kurapika. And then the world at large dislikes the Kurta clan for the power they have, the strong emotional, because as they get stronger when they use their eyes, you know. So just something I noticed. But yeah, it was good. It was neat. I liked it. Just a, you know, short little story. You know, it's fine.
But I think I mean, like, this also kind of gives more insight into I don't know. Like, you've got, like, Kurapika's two personas. You've got, like, the light and dark. And this is more, like, looking into the light and sort of seeing... I'm not sure what I'm trying to, like, get at, but, you know, like, how Gon kind of... His character arc ends up shifting into the darkness because he almost takes too much away from, like, modern Kurapika. You know, the one who's all consumed by vengeance and whatever. And, you know, that's always Kurapika's inner struggle, is he's trying to, you know, find... You know, he's trying to, like, resolve these two conflicting aspects of his personality, and he's trying to, you know, find some way to sort of, like, is he going to go down the path of vengeance and, like, forsake his friends and all of that, or is he gonna, you know... And so a lot of this is still unresolved, and there will probably be more to take away from this once there's more to dig into with Kurapika's character arc.
And I hadn't really thought about that sort of conflict between his characters, as because you could even say, like, you know, the respecting his clan and stuff and caring for friends it's old Kurapika from the special, you know, where the vengeance-driven Kurapika is, of course, after the event. So it's like it's basically him and his, childhood innocence in a sense. So, but yeah, like you said, there'll be more to dig into when we get more of his character. So,
and yeah, like there are interesting parallels between, on the podcast I've mentioned like the parallels between him and Gon, and we talked about like especially after what happened with Gon's character in Chimera Ant, and how Gon's kind of he has to strive forward, and kind of in a way like it's almost kind of like a reset for his character, but also he has all the perspective he's built up to this point, so he kind of has to, I don't know, perhaps deal with that. Although I doubt he'll go back into the darkness, but who knows? But I don't know, like there's something I'm not quite like getting at with the parallels with Gon and Kurapika, but I feel like this chapter makes it, I don't know. It feels more, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, so I'll just stop. But I do think the note that it ends on, with the Meteor City quote, like, we'll accept anything you leave, but don't ever take anything away from us. This is going to, like, Meteor City arc when? Because
please.
It makes it really like leaves you hanging in suspense, because obviously the story's not over. Because obviously the Kurtos must have done something to someone from Meteor City to piss them off and make them go out and like massacre them. And I mean, like, we know the troop was responsible, but overall, like, the troop is from Meteor City, so you could see them like acting on behalf of that. So it's like, what was the reason? And there's a lot that yet to be sort of resolved on, but it has that good kind of like, I don't know, the mystery at the end. Like it gives you a little hint that like something's gonna happen here. I will say though that this special being tied into the Phantom Rogue movie doesn't make the movie any better.
Yeah. The Nen Show Podcast discusses Shounen filler movies. Oh god. Starting with Fairy Tail. No. I'll get you to watch the Fairy Tail movies one. No, I'm kidding. All right, let's get into the actual 13th Hunter Chairman election arc, which is... Oh yeah, I never actually ranked it, but it's a fun arc.
Yeah, I definitely think I took a lot more away from it on this, revisit, like going through and reading it. Because when I had first gone through it in the anime, that was back in like 2015, and there was a lot of it that kind of went over my head. And it's like right after Chimera Ant, so there is a degree of like you're kind of exhausted from all the everything that goes on in Chimera Ant, and it's like, how do you follow that up? Although, like I said, with this, revisiting it through the manga and just having the whole context of the story in mind, and having heard some of this stuff discussed before and approaching it with kind of a new perspective, a lot more of it clicks into place, and there's a lot more I found to appreciate about it.
No, yeah, I don't know where I rate it, because it's short but sweet. Like, it does a lot in 20 chapters, and it's like, it probably has my favorite like comedy moment in the series. I don't even know if it's like intended to be comedy. We'll get to it.
This arc is pretty funny though, like, and the character interactions and everything. It's all really solid stuff.
No, yeah, and but especially, I guess, what we're getting into it. We get to start off with this meeting with the Zodiacs and fucking Pariston Hill. This fucker. So I haven't seen Alexander's video about him. I know he's just at least talks about how he's like a troll, like he's just fucking with people, and that's he's such a like, he should be Snake, because he's a fucking little. Oh no, Rat is fitting too. He's a shit, and it's amazing. Like, he's always like, someone will like call him out, like, oh, you're actually trying to do this with this suggestion. He's like, no, like, oh yeah, this extra funding, it's just a reserve for the Hunter Association. It just happened to be in my bank account. Like,
yeah.
Fucking child in a cookie jar motherfucker, or like hand in a cookie jar motherfucker. Like, oh my god.
I mean, he does everything. Like, I've heard a lot of people say they don't like this character, and I think that's just good writing on Togashi's part, because like, he does so much to be unlikable.
Like, for me, he 100% rolls around into being like funny, because he's so unlikable. Like, he's just such a giant asshole. It's so funny. Like,
it's because like he goes so far out of his way to put on this facade of like, oh, I'm a nice guy and I really just want the best for everybody and the best for the association. But it's like so forced. You can tell that it's like,
yeah, it's so
it's so
forced. It ends up being transparent. Like, he knows exactly what he's doing, and he knows you know what he's doing, and he's using that fact against you because he's a smart, like, he's probably, like, he's, you know, one of the more intelligent characters in the series. Like, Jing is the only, like, he even, you know, talks about how, like Jing is, like, you know, he lost to Jing right from the outset, pretty much, but, like, poor Cheadle, she's, like, getting, this rat is running circles around her, so, oh, God, there's my Pariston appreciation rant.
Yeah, the little bit where he's like, oh, I you know, so we can just skip the election. I nominate myself as chairman. And then there's like the 2-page spread of everybody just like, we're gonna fucking kill you.
I especially love it, especially Ox. Or Sheep. Sorry, Ox is a different character. But Ginta, he's like, because he just looks really dopey. But then in that spread, especially on the bottom panel, he just looks like very sinister and evil. Like, I love that effect. Like, I got, you know, where the goofy character becomes like, do not fuck with this man. Like, and of course, like, Jing is just sitting there not giving a fuck, which adds another, like, layer to the spread, because he's just like, whatever. He doesn't care at all.
I mean, the dynamic with the Zodiacs is really interesting, because you have, like, Pariston, who is this random character who, like, we're just getting introduced to now, and we can tell right away that nobody likes him. But then you have Jing, the guy who's kind of been built up for 300 chapters, just chilling there, and it's like, oh, okay, here's someone we recognize. But no, they hate him as well. Like, they don't trust him either.
You know, it's funny. Or it's good, yeah. But anyway, yeah, so I like, because, yeah, Jing's even like, I nominate myself, I'll follow the old man wishes, and the Zodiacs just go, but we don't want to vote for you either. Like, we don't, like, he's just, like, proclaiming it like it'll solve anything, and it's just, no. And then, of course, you get the bit where, you know, Pariston's talking about Gon, and, you know, Jing insists that he's not going to die, and you get Pariston's expression, which, as it turns out, is, like, he's lost. Like, he's already figured it out. Because it's definitely, like, you know, just kind of cold, dead expression. Like, you can say, oh, maybe he's getting mad, or, like, you know, that he's, you know, Jing's, like, you know, because he's trying to fuck with Jing. Like, oh, maybe Gon's going to die, and Jing isn't having any of it. And so you can see that, too. But, you know, we know how it turned out, so. But anyway, they agree to draw lots. Jing is on 4-dimensional chess, because he already, like, expected this, and, you know, gave Mr. Bean's instructions on how to handle it.
Yeah, because Jing is, like, the ultimate hunter. Like, as far as, like, the ideals of, like, the story of what's kind of been set up to this point, like, he, you know, he's immediately talking about, like, oh, you want to get the target to moves at once. Like, that's what being a hunter's all about. And then a lot of the stuff that he says later, like, obviously there's the quote, you know, about, like, appreciating the little things on the way to your destination, because that's where you'll find the things more important than what you want. And so, like, yeah, Jing embodies a lot of, I think, what the series has been building to, and is sort of just like the culmination of the themes to this point. Yeah.
No, this stretch of chapters does quite a bit for Jing, especially the last couple, because, like, we've been mentioning a quote about, you know, the journey and destination and the detours, like, basically the whole way through, because it is very core to Hunter x Hunter, and how it's, like, especially how it's structured and what the arcs are focusing on, you know, so, but anyway, the election starts, we get a lot of little cameos, like, there's the whole, you know, it's spread with all the, you know, the bottom, we just see, like, we pretty much see almost every hunter we know of, I think.
Yeah, because you get the examiners, you get the people from Great Island, you get some of the people from Yorknu who are working with Kurapika, there's Bisky, Hisoka.
There's Wing, there's I think there's the guy who was from the Zoldyck estate, who we kind of, or he shows up later at the estate talking to the gates keeper guard, I think.
You even get, like, the one examiner from the second hunter exam that Killua was at.
Yes. Like, you know, basically every hunter that is reasonably expected to show up, you know. Like, I think Shalnark is, like, an example of a hunter who does not. Like, they mention him specifically as one of the absentees, which he doesn't care. Like, and speaking of not caring, Hisoka, he's like, I'm voting. I didn't put anything on my ballot. I don't care. Like, he's just like, they even say he's there sizing up, you know, people he wants to fight. Though, of course, the one he wants to fight most of the people there is apparently Illumi, who he gives a 9.5. So more than the Zodiacs, which is interesting because the Zodiacs are like, Netero's sparring partners.
I do think I think this arc, like Illumi and Hisoka, like their interactions is probably by far one of my favorite aspects of this arc, because up until this point, like way back in the Hunter exam, we saw that they have like some sort of like a, like a mutually beneficial relationship, a bromance, if you will. No, but like I don't know, like there's obviously been like an undercurrent of like animosity between them, like even way back when Illumi's like, I'm gonna kill Gon, and Hisoka's like, no you ain't. And so like here
this arc you kind of get the reverse of that, where there's a couple moments from Hisoka where he's thinking about what he should do killing wise, and it kind of gets at Illumi even stronger than Illumi threatening to kill Gon, with Hisoka. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, because you kind of get, I mean, there's some of it where it's like it is like the undercurrent, like Hisoka playing all these tricks and just being like, oh sorry, I didn't mean to, or like he's just being playful about it, but he is trying to sabotage Illumi. But then you also just have Illumi's kind of like Hisoka, you're a fucking idiot, like I hate you.
True. Though I also like in their first interaction this arc where like Illumi's talking about like, man, there was fucking Chimera ants and Netero was there.
Yes.
And Hisoka's like, can you be my manager? Like my fight manager, set me up like with
I think it's all. I also kind of see this as maybe Togashi like poking at the reader, because I can imagine.
Oh, I've seen people, or at least maybe the idea that why wasn't Hisoka and Chimera Ant? It's probably exactly for this reason, where it's like there's a lot of good fighting going on. It would have made sense, but he's busy. So, or as you're
well, yeah, just in general, from like community things I've seen, like I've definitely heard people talk about like, oh, Leorio and Kurapika weren't in Chimera Ant, they were gone for so long. Hisoka, like all these characters weren't present, and so I can imagine that like as Togashi's writing it weekly and all these hiatuses are happening, people are starting to get like, hey, where are the characters? Where are they?
I mean, there was the 2-page spread from the first half of Chimera Ant where it's like Leorio and Kurapika or the cover page, and it's like, when are we gonna come back to the story? Like. Right, yeah.
So I kind of see it. Maybe it wasn't the intent, but I kind of read it on a metatextual level as like, because we know that Togashi likes to play with like Shounen tropes and stuff. So I imagine like characters being gone for a while and then coming back. I don't know, just kind of like poking fun at what the reader would think of that. I think seems like something he could do.
Like with Leorio later, he's more he's addressing it, but it's not like in a like wink wink nudge to the audience kind of way that you can see this one with Hisoka as, because it's more just like. Leorio feeling guilty a bit, maybe. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, there's like a lot of characters. It's interesting because it's only like 20 chapters, and there's a lot of characters show up but they're all recurring, so we kind of already know their deals. So it's like it's a short arc that really works because of we get all the Zodiacs, but really only like 3 of them matter. Maybe Cheadle, Jing, and Pariston, and we already knew one of them, so.
Well, I don't know. Really, I think it's like the top 4 because, maybe not as much in this arc, but like Mizai definitely, I know does some stuff.
He's like the next most important one, but he's more relevant after the fact. But
yeah, I think.
So anyway,
it might not have been translated necessarily in the manga, but I remember like, with regards to the like Hisoka and Illumi interaction, how Hisoka's because Illumi says something like, if you had thought about it or whatever, you could have fought the ants or something like that. And Hisoka's like, well, that would require stopping to think. And so just that's what, like, to me, that feels more as like the playful kind of, poking at, kind of like not necessarily breaking the fourth wall, but, like just kind of like poking at the reader or whatever, maybe with like in-universe dialogue, like as opposed to like Leorio having like a character motivation for it, which could seem more like genuine in stories. I don't know, like just kind of the throwaway jokey lines seem more.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's fair. No, yeah.
The cover of Volume 31. I love it so much.
Yes, it is the one base for the thumbnail of this one. It's cute.
Yeah, it might be my favorite cover in the whole series so far. Maybe.
I think you said you also really like the one that I used for the first half of Chimera Ant.
Oh yeah, that one was good too.
Cat Adventure. Oh yeah, that's right. I didn't notice this before, but in the 2-page spread with all the like the rules, I think, and it was like over Netero's like grave, or memorial site. there's fucking porn magazines in the flowers. Or at least, like magazines with, like, really raunchy covers of girls in, like, bikinis or shit. And I'm just like... I don't know, something about it's funny. Like, because I guess, like, we don't really see that side to Netero very much. But, like, yeah, he's a pervy old man. So, and people knew. And they gave him magazines. It's just a really, like... I've never noticed it before. I don't remember noticing it before. But,
Yeah, because I remember Jing had said something had made a comment to Cheadle later in the arc, which is like, you really love that pervy old man that much? Or you admired him that much or whatever? And yeah, because, I mean, like, the pervy old man trope is another thing that, you know, it exists. But Netero, it's, like, not a huge facet of his character. Like,
it's barely a mention. Like, you don't, like, aside from Jing's line, it's only that, like, I only noticed at that panel, like, because he never interacts with any... girls, basically.
I think it's only like when he first shows up in the hunter exam, like he might kind of like make a comment about the gourmet hunter whose name I'm not remembering.
Maybe he did,
Menchie.
and I don't remember, because I was thinking about that. I was trying to think, like, did he do anything there? Because that's the only, like, time he interacted with, like, an attractive woman who I can remember, you know. So yeah, it's like, yeah, like I said, it's an aspect that it's just, yeah, like you said, it's such a small aspect of his character. Anyway, the votes aren't working out, so the Zodiacs have to keep kind of tweaking things as they work on getting enough voter turnout. And yet also, I guess there's an aspect of the arc with sort of like carrying on Netero's torch, because, you know, Pariston is the one who's like, you know, he's compared to Netero a lot, you know, because, like, you know, he keeps putting obstacles in his way, like, or how did Cheadle say it, like, he makes it harder for himself with some of his, like, the things that he does. And, you know, she says that he's like Netero in that way. It's just like he does it with, like, political bureaucracy shit, where Netero does it with, like, you know, presumably fighting and combat, or maybe he does other stuff, but that we don't really see that's similar. But, like, yeah, they like to make it harder for themselves because they like the challenge, you know. And Jing is also that way, but he loses interest quickly because he doesn't give a fuck. Jing he's fickle, and it's funny. So anyway, getting to the other half of the arc, we go back to the Zoldyck mansion, and
Killua's got a plan on how to save Gon.
Yep. And he wants to see Alluka, who... So, because I just realized, like, because Alluka kind of has... Like, we've talked about how Togashi, like, in the first time he, like, draws the character, they seem kind of off. And Alluka's like, because Alluka looks kind of creepy at first, but then later we see her, but she grows cuter as we, like, because first, like, we see her through, like, the flashback of how her powers work, you know, and she doesn't look as, you know, cute as, she's, like once,
Yeah, so it's almost kind of like we're introduced to, like, Alluka and Nanika as, like, an ability first, which is definitely, like, what the arc is going for.
Yes. Right. Yeah,
and so as, like, her character
from the
kind
Zoldyck
of...
family perspective, yes. Or go on.
Yeah, so I hadn't considered that, but, like, through the art, like, as her character kind of, like, becomes cuter, like, we are able to, like, break away from, like, that Zoldyck perspective of, like, she's got this dangerous ability, and we... So, yeah, I hadn't considered it from that angle.
Like reading it, like, we see it from the Zoldyck family perspective first, where they see her as, you know, an object with a very potent power, and, like, we see that power, we see the rules, we see the consequences, the sacrifices they made to figure out these rules, and then, like, she's really first drawn kind of cutely when, you know, she goes Killua, and then she hugs him, and, like, you know, when we see Alluka as a person and not a set of powers, because she's with Killua, like, and that's when she starts, like, there's this next page where she's hugging Killua, and she's got blush on her face, is cute, you know, like, that's when we really start to see her as a person and not a set of powers, basically. So yeah, I hadn't realized, because I was just, like, going through and realizing, like, wow, she's really kind of creepy and doll-like in this, like, she's even surrounded by stuffed animals and looking like, there's probably a name for them, but it kind of, I know there's, like, Japanese dolls that, like, sit on, like, a stair, kind of, like, you know, do you know what I'm talking about? There's, like, levels to it, and there's, like, a bunch of dolls on them, and they're, like, in dresses and stuff. I don't know what it's called, but I'm just reminded of that while she's sitting with all these stuffed animals, like, literally like an object. So,
No, yeah, especially like with her eyes, where there's like she doesn't have like pupils or anything, so it looks like she's kind of just like not real.
Yeah, and her mouth is in a weird shape. It's just yeah, no, it's
It's a really good panel.
yeah. I'm surprised. Yeah, I didn't realize how much information was here just from the visuals, basically, of like what the arc is doing, especially when you contrast it with later, and it's good, very good. But yeah, we get the explanation of the powers, lots of little rules and nuances that are also kind of like explored throughout the arc, because it's because Killua definitely understands Alika better, but he also uses like his knowledge of her and her powers to like fuck with them too. Like I kind of only know like maybe like it only clicked during this reading because I'm stupid for some reason, but like specifically the moment where Killua escapes by like he gives Nanika the choice wish where it's like if this happens then this or mom dies, but if we do get out you kiss me. Like that wasn't really a wish or an order, like nothing would have happened, but the family didn't know better, so they came to Killua's wishes, like because they figured that Killua has a stronger bond to Alika and Nanika, so sneaky little brat. No, Killua's so good.
Yes. And I think because now, so when I first went through this arc, I didn't really know anything about like trans issues, so all the stuff with gender and like the gender signifiers all went over my head. But coming back through it like this time around, and immediately like we're immediately like first introduced to Alika being misgendered. Like the the Illumi and the family are like referring to Alika as like little brother or like he, and I think it's really interesting that this whole the way that it's integrated is it's just there. Like, it's not like, yes. Oh, no one ever stops to say like, oh, Alika is this or Alika's that. Like, it's just there. Which Ember Reviews had made a really good video on this back in 2017, 2018, I forget. Mm-hmm. But it's just really interesting to have this sort of like trans narrative kind of like as the undercurrent to this arc. Because like it deals with concepts like the character being misgendered, character being treated as like subhuman.
Right.
And it ties into the dynamics of both the Zoldycks being this kind of like abusive, I guess you could say overprotective family, and being very kind of like possessive of what's going on, versus, Killua's character arc and how far he's grown as a person. And, I think Alika, as well as being really, I mean, like, I'm personally of the mindset that, like, any representation, even if it's kind of like problematic representation, is good representation because it opens the door to a discussion of certain topics, which is kind of what I talked about back in Yu Yu Hakusho with that other trans character who was kind of like,
yeah.
Not, but
we talked about that one for a bit.
But as much as I think it's interesting to have characters who like, to have like gender identity be used as like a plot device versus it just being an aspect of someone's character, or whether it's being commented on in the story and people are using, explicit terms like trans or something about gender or however, versus it just kind of existing. I think both are equally valuable. And so the fact that like Hunter x Hunter deals with Alika being misgendered and, Killua's kind of response to that, and how like just having that one person there who's willing to kind of like believe your perspective and like support you through everything, and really like, like Killua puts himself out there for Alika. Like he rejects his family completely and is willing to stand by Alika and support her, through everything. And the same goes for Nanika. And
yeah, I love the scene where he takes her outside and he's like, "If I was the only one in the world who loved you, would you, that you'll be okay?" And she, like there was the anime girl Inhuman Noises tweet going around with that giggle, that cute little. It's so cute. Yes. She makes her face melts and it's adorable. And yeah, she's just she would be fine if Killua was the only one in the world who cared about her, and he might as well be at this point, because like. And yeah, he, like, I also love, as far as Killua's changed, when he's coming in, he's like, how could I have left her here? Like, he's baffled with himself because he doesn't understand, like, how he would have just, like, left Alika there, with this fucking family to be used as an object, like, and he mentioned, like, the needle keeps coming up, and the part that got me was, like, when I think Miluki and Silva were talking about it, and they just mentioned the needle offhand, like, they fucking knew about it, like,
yeah,
it's not like Illumi was doing his own thing because he's a creepy asshole. It's like, no, the family knew, like, I think specifically what it was there was, like, to train him to have a Zoldyck mindset, basically. And, he's literally subverting their family by removing the needle and, like, very much going against them. Like, which is, so good for Killua because their shitty family needed to get the fuck out and take Alika with them, and...
Yeah, because I like how when he shows up the first time, and he's like, oh my god, how could I leave my little sister, behind, trapped in this place? Like, because that's kind of like the Zoldyck influence. Like, he kind of just goes out on his own to do his own thing. But now that he's grown as a person and he's coming back, he's like, I got to get her out of here. Like, how could I have done this?
Mm-hmm.
But to kind of, like, I guess quickly try to wrap up my thoughts on, like, the fact that all this, like, gender stuff is not really commented on and it just exists, I think in some cases that makes, some of the things that happen all the more powerful. Because, like, every time I'm reading... the text here, and someone misgenders Alika, I'm like, fuck you, but then of course you get moments like when they leave the mansion and Killua's talking to the butlers, and Goto's like, well, why is Canary here? And Killua responds by saying, like, Alika's a girl, like, I can't trust someone like you with all, and it's just it makes it all the more powerful. There's lots of, like, the Zoldyck family is good, and I do have a friend who thinks that Killua's role in the story might be over. I don't think so, because there's too much going on with the Zoldicks for Killua to, like, especially with the one page, I think, where Illumi's, like, talking about how he wants to control Killua so he can control Alika's power, like... Yeah, I mean, like, I understand with what Illumi's doing now, that it seems like Killua might not be the top... Well, then again, I've only heard things about what's going on now, so I don't even know for sure. But, yeah, like, I don't see how. Like, Killua has now put himself in a position where, more than ever, his family, or at least Illumi, is, looking to try to, like, control him and take away, like, his free will. And the same for Alika.
My friend's reasoning was mostly what he said was that, like, because Killua's character arc is, you could say it's complete. Like, he's, subverted his family, he's become a good person, like,
yeah.
But I definitely don't think his role in the story is over. So I misrepresented.
I mean, like, I do kind of get it, because the particular moment that stood out to me is when Illumi comes back. No, it's the part before, like, when they get off the blimp and there's the confrontation with Illumi, and it's very much like a reflection on what happened in the Hunter exam, where it's like, okay, you can listen to me and let your friend die, or you can protect your friend, and also in this case, Alika, and, then you have to deal with me, and you can't reject me, you can't make... So it like, takes what happened in the Hunter exam and kind of, like, uses that again, but flips it on its head now that Killua has had time to grow as a person, and...
Yeah, I didn't think of it as, like, a reflection of that choice at the end of because I forgot, at the end of the Hunter exam, that's good. I hadn't thought about that.
Well, because I think Togashi even uses, like, the close-up on, like, Illumi's eye or whatever, and so it's very, like, repeating imagery.
Nice. Okay, I didn't notice that. God, there's so many things. It's a good arc. But anyway, moving along the discussion, because I wanted to, because while Killua is first meeting Alika, you have Hisoka and Illumi. Oh, you'd wrapped up, right? Or
yeah.
Okay. Well, I especially love it because, like, basically they talk about the risks, because if Killua fucks up with Alika, then the whole Zoldyck family dies, and, Gon, Hisoka, like, everyone who's Killua's had extended contact with dies, basically. And, like, especially I love the moment of it where, Illumi says that you'll probably die too, Hisoka, and he has, like, the most, like, un-Hisoka look on his face. He's just, like, sweating a little bit, he's just a bit, like, off balance, like, he looks like a normal person who's, like, a little worried,
Yeah, he's just like, oh, this is bad. This is bad.
Right. So that just really struck me as a very un-Hisoka moment from Hisoka, in a way. But, I mean, he also does, in the conversation, he kind of, like... right before that, there's the moment where it's like, like, because apparently how the rules work with the sacrifice is the most loved person gets killed first, and then if any more people after that get killed, it's based on the time spent with them. So, like, that with the one person, it was, like, their classmates and stuff, rather than her mom.
And so naturally, Hisoka's like, oh, either way, Gon dies. And Ilumi's like, what? He's like, he's like, you were referring to yourself?
And people think I'm crazy. Fucking Hisoka, holy shit. And yeah, Illumi is just a fucking nut. Like, he's insane. Like, he's so deluded and wrapped up in his idea of Killua that he's like, yeah, Killua loves me, right? And it's like, no. Killua, no. Like, because yeah, Hisoka does kind of point out the contradiction with, Killua's actions, because, if he's planning to bear the sacrifice himself, then Gon dies either way, Like, even if, like, so it doesn't make sense for him to, like, heal Gon to kill Gon. So it's just, where Illumi's like, yeah, I'll die. Because he's so wrapped up in himself, basically, and what he wants, that he does. Yeah, he doesn't care about Killua or Alika whatsoever. Like, well, he loves Killua in his twisted way at best. So
I think the page after that is really interesting because you have, like, the contrast. You have, like, Alika and Killua, like, like, playing dead. And you get, like, the really dramatic shading on Killua's face when it's like, oh, is he really gonna die? But then it's, like, juxtaposed against, like, the next page where you have just, like, it's the black background and it's just, like, the characters' faces as they're talking. Like, I definitely remember that from the anime, and, like, I don't know, it's just really striking imagery.
Yeah, he's definitely playing with the, like, how he's showing, like, because he's doing, he's using, simple art, I guess you could say, where it's, like, like, it's just the faces, like, he doesn't have to draw the scene and stuff, like, but yeah, it is, it is interesting that, like, that's such an unusual way to do it, but anyway, we briefly come back to the Zodiacs, who, they mentioned the line about Pariston putting obstacles in his way, because they talk about they like, just suggested to take away licenses, but then they realized that, like, oh, well, once their license is gone, they don't have nothing to lose, so, and Cheadle's just like, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Oh my god, fucking Pariston. Anyway, then we get the first real, like, Killua going against his family, where he takes Alika, and they uses the fake wish to Killua does not like his mom, apparently, because he's already stabbed her, and now he's saying that, like, she's the one he picks to threaten with, I mean, I guess he's technically not, like, going to kill her, because, Nanika's powers don't work like that, but, and of course maybe he also just, like, knows that she's not going to care that much, because she's just like, what a cruel thing to say, he's grown up so much, like, she loves his like, bloodlust, even when especially when it's aimed at her, like, this whole family is, what is wrong with this family?
What I thought was really interesting, and it was something completely random, but when I, like, stumbled across it, like, clicked in my head. So I was randomly, like, I forget what, I had pulled something up on YouTube, and, like, a random recommendation that popped up was, like, Killua arguing with, like, older women for, like, 14 minutes. I was like, wait, what? Why would this be a video? But then that made me think, like, this has been a recurring aspect of his character, and considering, like, the relationship he has with his mother and this kind of, like, overprotectiveness, it's something I'd never considered, and the fact that I just randomly, like, found this video in recommendations, it's like, wait a minute.
You're right. Well, because, like, even, like, yeah, Bisky's been the big one where, but even when she was chosen for the top 16, there was a line where it's like, mother crossed out sister figure who was voted, like, or most hunters want to be scolded by, or is it like as if she were a parent figure, like they. So yeah, she's the mom of the Hunter Association in a way, and so of course Killua doesn't get along with her because he has a bad relationship with mother figures. So I guess Mito is probably, like, the most positive relationship he has with an older woman, you could say. Though she's not, like, old, she's young, older, but yeah, no, it's I hadn't thought about it like that, and it is funny that you got that idea from or noticed that from, like, yeah, he spent over an episode or half an episode just arguing with older women.
Yeah, because there's that, and then there's also what's her name? The other butler who gets introduced in this stretch of chapters.
Oh, Tsubone?
Yes. And how,
Yes,
like,
and
she's the
kinda,
only
like,
one who can
yeah.
kind of, like, boss Killua around.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, yeah, Killua gets in contact with Moral. Like we see everyone wearing over Gon. You see Dwan and you know, Suzugara, Melody, Wing, Hanzo, all the characters, and they're all.
I like
wearing...
how you can clearly see, like, Bisky's got, like, the dialogue bubble, and so she's probably just, like, you know, even now just, like, lecturing him about, like, what he did wrong.
You're right. Bisky's so good. I didn't notice that. That's good.
I think this is also interesting because, like, it is, like, in bringing back the characters in at this point and in this way, it kind of, you know, reminds us that they're there and that maybe there's more that they can do later. And next arc spoilers.
Yeah, and well, I guess I'll talk about it because, like, how the last chapter, like, goes of this reading. I think
It's
the
the ending that isn't the end.
Yes, which was deliberate, as I've mentioned, where Togashi's, like, he wanted it to feel like a last chapter, but then the story keeps going on, as, you know, like you tend to get with, like people always say Dragon Ball should have ended after Frieza, should have ended after Cell. Like, it went on longer than it should have, because you could see, like, you know, the chapter where Gohan, you know, he's taking the torch from Goku and Cell is dead. Like, oh, Dragon Ball's over. No, it's still going. Like, that kind of thing. Like, he did that deliberately with the end of this stretch of chapters. So, but you know, he wanted to keep going. So it's interesting. But anyway, so yeah, Killua, you know, he's got to get Alluka to Gon, you know, safely with, you know, of course, Ilumi's gonna, you know, he's got to take his, he has Goto and Kanari, who are, you know, Canary, who are, you know, his trust, but he's able to work with them, but then you got Tsubone and the other one, I forget the other one, Amane, thank you, you know, who are more, you know, aligned with other family members, like, you know, even the Zoldyck family dynamic extends to its servants, you know,
I mean, yeah, like, the family is really interesting as, like, a plot and, like, you know, like, a framework for setting this up, because, like, this is even, like, the intra-family mission, where there's, like, 3 different parties, all with different objectives, and they're, like, contesting against each other, and so, like, even the ways that, like, the butlers are tied into that, is really interesting.
And I forgot this, because this is one of those things that made me mad at the Zoldyck family and how they're run. They literally have a fucking, like, a system for rebellious children, because it's like, it's so expected that the kids are gonna, you know, go against their shitty circumstances, that they have, like, they literally have levels of, like, restrictions on their children regarding them, you know, just, like, you know,
Oh, I hadn't even considered it from, like, them expecting their children to rebel.
It's practically systemic of, like, you know, this, like, you know, Silver probably had his, like, you know, being, like, moments like this, but he ultimately...
yeah, because, like, it's, like, there are generations of, like, assassins here. I hadn't considered it from that.
I could, you know, like, at one point, like, they made it a system because it's so common, like, you know, I could totally see, like I said, Silva having had to go through the same thing. Like, we don't know how long
almost like raising your children to be assassins is maybe not the healthiest thing. But no, they wouldn't question that.
Yeah,
it's
so, like,
the family business.
This moment just, like, because, like, with the, you know, the Alluka stuff, like, I was, you know, already aware of, like, I hadn't really noticed it, well, like, last time I went through the series, but I did, you know, hear about it quite a bit between then and now, so I'm like, oh yeah, Alluka. So, you know, I was, it's, you know, it is aggravating, but, you know, at the same time I'm familiar with it, so, I, you know, but this is, like, me noticing something else about this fucking family, that I'm like, oh my god, you guys, maybe they are worse than the Charlotte family, like, god, Big Mom, because, like, yeah, Big Mom, it's just, she's just always at level 5. You just can't leave. But they have a system for it, and that makes it worse, I guess, because, like, they could be so choosy with how they treat their kids. Like, God.
I like the part where Tsubone is lecturing Killua, and then Alluka just, like, swoops in front of him and is like, don't be mean to him! And, she's good.
Yep, no, there's a really good interaction that happens. Leorio finally comes back. Hey, look, it's one of the main characters. Back and relevant after like 200 chapters. But no, Leorio is great this arc. But I especially like this first interaction where he's kind of first interacting with Moro, basically. Because, like, there's... Moro's like, okay, when you say it's impossible, hand over the phone and I'll make it possible.
Yes, that's such a good moment. Like, Morel is a badass. He is great.
Yeah, well, it's just his experience talking. Like, they do a part that mentions, like, because, you know, he spent the whole tail end of the Chimera Ant arc, like, during the Palace Invasion at, like, they mentioned he's, like, at 50%, at 30% strength. Like, he's going up against some of the strongest guys in the series at, like, half power, pretty much, and still, like, managing, basically. So, like, he, you know, they even say, like, yeah, he's, due to his, the events of the, you know, that mission, he's, you know, he might become a 3-star hunter. Like, he's a big deal in the Hunter Association. So and you really see that experience, like, show, especially in, like, it throughout, but also just this moment's good because Leorio's, like, you know, he's no longer a complete newbie, but he's still very green, you know, and... And Moro's just like he has more experience, so he has more knowledge of, like, what he can do as a hunter, and he's like, yeah, we can make a separate hospital and put Gon alone there. Like, it's, you know, we'll just use this parking lot space. Like, it's fine. But he also, like, the fact that he knew that was going to be part of the issue, like, before Leorio even really talked a lot, like...
I feel like there's so much personality in this little, like, phone conversation. Because, like, even Goto himself is... Like, this is an arc that really got me to appreciate him even more, because all of his, like, dialogue and, like, the actions he takes, they're all kind of, like, there's, like, double meanings or, like, hidden intentions behind them, because he's always, like, trying to give Killua hints, or maybe he'll give him, like, a little more leeway to, like, get information out there before he'll cut him off. So, like, he's still showing loyalty to the family, but also to Killua, and trying to sort of balance... Like, that between the two.
It goes back to his lesson about with the coins that he gave Gon, where it's like, you can't just look at the, you know, which hand I'm keeping the coin is. You have to remember that, like, there could be another, like, trick to it or something else to it. Like, you can't just take his words at face value because there's hints in them, you know?
Yeah, because, like, when Leorio was originally, like, yelling at him, and he's like, what do you mean there's conditions to save his friend? And Goto's like, no, you don't understand. Killua's risking his life. He's heading there against the wishes of his family. Like, basically, you need to work. Like, Goto's like basically saying, I'm already, like, doing what I can to, like, make this situation work, and you are going to jeopardize that.
Friend.
You need to chill out.
Yeah, and trust your friend. And it's like, no, you're right. I didn't really pick up on that. Mostly what I noticed was his fight with Hisoka, but we'll talk about that. Because, yeah, it's...
Oh, no, his fight. No!
Yeah, I know.
That's what made the fight even more, like, rough, because I gained such a greater appreciation for this character.
Oh man, Goto's so good, and then he just fucking dies. That's very... Oh god. Which I also think it's kind of similar, like, maybe that's even like harder than the Pakko Ponzu stuff, because it's like, here, oh look, these characters from before, maybe they're gonna get more relevant. Nope, they fucking die. And with Pakko in particular, it was pretty brutal. But with Goto, it's like, yeah, they're endearing you to him more by, like, having him, you know, looking out for Killua and, you know, trying to help it the best he can in his circumstances, you know, in this, like, really shitty family. And then he dies, so it's like, fuck. Ooh, and then we get probably if anyone disagrees, I'd be surprised, but this is, you know, Leorio's best moment in the series. Like, everyone in universe even agrees, because the Zodiacs are having, you know, talking to the hunters, trying to get them to vote, and Leorio's like, I have a question for Jing.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't care about any of this shit at all. He's just like, what about Gon? What about his friend? And Jing is just completely dismissing him, like, yeah, he has friends, you know? Like, that's, you know, did Gon say that he wants to see, like, you know, he wants me to see him? Like, when he obviously, like, and Leorio just gets pissed off, like, obviously he fucking can't, so he just, like, punches him. We get to see Leorio's Nen power, which is fucking portals. And like you can see like Jing 100% like got hit on purpose, you know.
Yeah.
Like even like looks at it like, oh, what's this? Like, yeah, one of the strongest hunters in the world is gonna like not be able to dodge this attack that's so like blatantly like. But no, it and like everyone's fucking cheering Leorio on because you know Jing is unpopular.
See, everybody, you even said like the characters in universe thought it was one of his best actions, including Jing. Jing was like, yeah, I'm gonna let this happen.
Right, because like as you know, Pariston found, like, you know, Pariston was expecting to go up against Jing in the end, but it ended up being Leorio who was sort of carrying that. You know, because you know he expected Gon to get involved, and it was through Leorio that it happened. I feel like I had something else to say. Oh yeah, I guess also the thing is because there's also like the common like dissent with the Hunter Association, and I think Jing, like, you know, like Pariston is the one pulling the strings of of a lot of the shitty shit in the Hunter Association. Cheadle's like the one who's trying to like get all that, you know, clean out the association, so to speak. Like her like motto was what was her motto in this next chapter? I will expel all corruption. Like but like Pariston even mentions with Jing, it's like that this guy's a perpetual like truant and rule breaker. So he's still like sitting, but he's still sitting right here. So like I think the way he said it was like the way Pariston said it. Why did he say that? Oh yeah, I think he's saying something about like we'll take any opinion or you know, or vote, like, you know, everyone matters. Like, look at Jing, this fuck up, he's sitting here, isn't he? But like at the same time, while he's doing that, he's also saying like, look, this guy's a fuck up, but he's still like higher in the organization than you just because he's good at what he does. So like you could see people like part of the reason people don't like Jing is also because like he's getting exceptions, you know, because maybe not exceptions that, you know, other hunters wouldn't get, but still he's like, you know, he's sort of. And hopefully what I'm trying to say is getting across here. I keep stumbling over my words. But yeah, he is, you know, a problem in the association in a sense. And so Leorio punching him is also like, you know, people who are kind of against the Hunter Association are able to get behind him is what I mean. That was long-winded and but hopefully what I got, yeah.
I mean, like, what Leorio's inclusion, as well as, like, just Pariston's antics, like, what that says about, like, Togashi's view of politics and just, like, the whole process is... I mean, because, like, you have Leorio, he's just kind of this guy who shows up and, I don't know, he, like, brings drama to the election process, and everyone's like, oh, this guy, here's, a storyline I can get behind. And so, like, that's where, like, the people who aren't invested, like, get involved. And that's what, like, raises the voter turnout and stuff, so...
And you could even do a meta thing with it with the audience where it's like, when now Leorio and Gon are involved. Now the audience is involved, so we're supposed... Because Leorio's the character
Yeah, because otherwise all the characters... There's, like, what? Morel? Is Morel gonna become chairman?
Yeah, and
or
he doesn't even
maybe?
And as we find out, he doesn't give a fuck at all. Like, he's like, yeah, I don't want to be chairman. Go away. Like... Because the one trio, the Pure Paladin Squad, is trying to get his help, and he's just like, no, go away. You don't even deserve to take the name of Netero's old group. Like, shut up. Like, yeah, Leorio is the one we're supposed to be behind in this arc, so it makes sense that move would get hit, both, you know, the audience behind him too. So,
yeah,
reading and because, yeah, it does bring the... Because that's the thing is, like, you know, this whole arc, it's like you have the two threads that are both, like, you know, resulting from the Chimera Ants, where you have Netero's death and you have Gon reacting to Kite's death, you know, and then they kind of... They end up merging at the end, where Illumi's, like, actions, like, as a hunter are going, like, showing the faults in the bylaws and the rules and stuff, and, like, they're getting hunters to actually help. Like, the election and Killua trying to save Gon, like... more so than just here is like coming into like the lines really crossed, and it's cool and good.
You know, I think that might have been a connection that I kind of didn't appreciate on the first time through, because it's like, oh, there are these two separate storylines going on, but no, they do converge in ways that, you know, like they play off each other well and they feed into each other, and it's good.
Yeah. But yeah, we get to the since they find with Leora's actions, they finally get their 75% voter turnout they need, and they narrow it down to 16. Like, some of them are just not, like, they're not even, like, trying to run or anything. Like, I think, Ikshonpei, the hacker hunter who's, I think, yeah, oh, that's right, he's basically, like, there's, I checked the wiki, and at one point, I remember, and, the magic card shop is, like, shaped like his head, and so he's pretty, blatantly, like, he's the eye in Greed Island. He 100% worked on the game. But he's ranking in, like, the top 5 for no reason. Like, he doesn't give a... He's like, Jing, do you want to trade my silver axe for your gold, whatever, helmet or whatever it was? Like, he's just doesn't care at all. Like, Moral doesn't care. Bisky doesn't care.
You have the one, who's like, please... The motto is, please don't vote for me.
Right, the Dr. Sanbika. Yeah, like, half of them don't give a shit at all. Because they're hunters. They're a fickle lot. So, they're just like... But they're still liked within the association. Like, even Kite, I think, got a vote at some point. Gon has 4 votes.
Yeah, that's what I thought was interesting about the manga version specifically, is that it does go into detail on, like, here are these characters who got, like, 1 vote or 2 votes. I don't think those details were included in the anime. I think it was only, like, the plot relevant stuff that they keep in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is also kind of the same thing with Greed Island, where you get to see all the cards, which I also really appreciate about the manga version of the arc, Oh yeah, this chapter we also get the Zoldyck family dynamic chart.
The only thing I'm interested in about this chart is why is Kaluto jealous of Aluka, and how does that relate to their character arc?
Yeah, well, going back, I would assume it's because of his, relations with Killua. Like, maybe...
I mean, I can make assumptions, but...
Yeah, well, to make an assumption, like, maybe the fact that Kaluta kind of, happens to be very feminine looking is a way to sort of, like, emulate Aluka, in a sense.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's definitely a theory I've heard, and it's an interesting theory.
Yeah, because
I want to know, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I think is also kind of interesting, though, like, whether or not that theory holds up, like, as we get more information, what I think is kind of interesting is that you have, like, how the Zoldyck family being this rigid sort of, like, household where, like, they're very overprotective and all this stuff, and how the fact that, like, not just Aluka, but, like, Kaluto as well, like, they do have this sort of, like, defying sort of, like, gender presentations or whatever.
What I just realized is that, like, not only do they have that within this, like, structured family, it's also a patriarchal family. Like, it goes to the sons that they choose. Like, the line was Maha, Zig, Zeno, Silva, Killua. Like, they're all the men, yet you still have, like, Aluka and Kaluto, who are, genetically they are male, but they still, express themselves in ways that are more feminine. Or in Aluka, she's just straight up transgender, So it's like, I don't know, I just realized, I don't know if that's in service of anything. I just like, so, like, they're not just, like, subverting, like, well, it's more like, I guess what I'm trying to suggest is that, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, and I'll wait till the story explains it. I feel like I had a thought there. I just, I'll think about it more before I just throw it out there. But
well, I think it's kind of interesting that, like, you have these characters, like I said, it's like a strict household where, like, they even have, like, these, like, lockdown procedures of, like, if you cross too many lines, yeah. But, like, it does in that regard, as you said, like, it almost invites the characters to do things that kind of, like, defy either, like, their family or, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know, like, where I'm going with that now. I lost my train of thought.
Stabbed his mom in the face and ran away, and he didn't seem to be under any of the, like, any, at least that affected him, Like, Illumi was there watching him for the whole time, pretty much, but, or at least he was there by coincidence, so never mind. Like, he just needed a hunter license, so, but anyway, Killua, like, think about the family dynamic chart, and, Silva still has, like, respect for and trust for Killua, even if he, Aloka's still just a thing to him. And then he's able to work out that, Illumi's goal is to kill Aloka. And they end up talking. Killua refused to bend to him, and Illumi starts.
And the line where he's like, "Oh, I wouldn't kill family in an intermission, not family." And then Killua's
He realized, yeah, no, it's
like they don't treat Alika as family, and they're bad.
Yep.
Like, I mean, I know, I don't know, like with the Chimera Ant arc and the stuff with Gon, like there was definitely that felt like a culmination of Killua's character. But I guess you could say like if Killua like removing the needle and like that being the real like turning point for his character, I guess this is maybe, I don't know, because this like does more to solidify it. Like now he's not just defying his family's wishes, but like he's actively confronting them and like going against them, and so there's more like emphasis placed on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, like, where do you go beyond the culmination? Like, I don't know how I'm trying to describe it, but...
No, yeah, well, like, that's what I said about, like you could say Killua's character arc is complete after this, because it's like, where does his character go from here? You know, like, aside from more conflicts with his family, you know? So, I don't know. I'd love to see it, because the Zoldyck they're a really good group. But anyway, after that, though, there's a great interaction between Illumi and Hisoka.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly my favorite interaction between the two.
Yeah, because he's
the art's
so
also interesting. Yeah, well, the art's also interesting because like Illumi looks more human in one of these panels. Like you see more of his nose shape and like his eyes have a little bit, and it comes off as more like he hits more of the uncanny valley almost. Like it's creepy.
That's interesting then, because when you turn the page and he's just got like the Cyclops eye. It seems
then
like
he's fucking
because
even,
of how his hair.
Even creepier, yeah.
So it's like you have that panel where he almost looks more human, and then it's like flipped completely to where he's like less human.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, no, I love this moment. He's like, "Can I kill Killua?" And Illumi's just like, "I'll kill you right now." And Hisoka's like, "I'm just joking." So basically, like it's Killua, Killua. Jesus, it's Hisoka. Like messing with Illumi and like trying to get in his way so that...
Well, yeah, like he does it, like he pisses off Illumi like specifically to help Killua because Illumi's bloodlust is felt across the mountain range and he's up there and like because Hisoka, he says like I prefer going to live if possible, more toys. Like he's like pissing off Illumi to help Killua, and he gives this fucking like meme smug troll face that it's more mimetic in the anime, just something about the color, like the seeing him looking up at Illumi in the same shot is with that fucking smile on his face. Little shit. But
yeah, it's also more of Hisoka just being self-serving and like he's always in it for himself. So like even though like Illumi is the closest character he has to a friend in the series, and even then like they're not friends. Like Hisoka will gladly stab him in the back and undercut his plans if it better serves him.
There's a later part that's probably the most Hisoka moment in the series where he's thinking about like who should he kill and fight to have the most killing and fighting, basically. Where he's like, well, if I kill Alika, Killua gets pissed off. Then I can kill Killua, then Illumi's pissed off. And he's like, yeah, that sounds like a plan. But he's like, it's just the most Hisoka moment, because he's just like, because I think, I think I remember seeing you tweet... Maybe was it Alexander, or was it just Twitter showing me random stuff? But you responded to something about like how, because Hisoka, like, yeah, he helps Killua and Gon sometimes, but it's 100% because he wants to kill them later. Like he just wants them to be stronger so he could have more fun doing it. Basically, like
was that like a Nuxtaku thing that like he had made a tweet and he was like, oh, Hisoka's actually not such a bad guy. It's
maybe
like
it was, I don't remember.
Maybe it wasn't Nux. I don't remember who it was.
Because it's weird just for it to be Alexander. Maybe it was, I don't know. I just remember it was Hunter x Hunter Twitter, and I just remember you responded, which you don't normally do. I don't feel like, I mean, I respond less on Twitter than anyone, but I just remember seeing it, because it's like Hisoka he like happens to do positive things sometimes, but it's 100% for his like very selfish, very like bloodlust intentions,
I think that's what makes Hisoka such a great character, though, because he is just the chaos factor of Hunter x Hunter. And because, like, not every story can really have a chaos factor like that, because some stories like to be more linear and, like, or I don't know how to describe it, but a character like Hisoka wouldn't work in every story. But for Hunter x Hunter specifically, he is a large part of I think, the appeal of Hunter x Hunter. Like, him being there and being able to switch sides and just really do anything and kind of be anything is, part of what Hunter x Hunter is all about. Like, characters can do whatever they want, and I don't know. So it's like on like a structural level and like a narrative level, like Hisoka, he adds a lot to the story, and I can see why people, really appreciate his character, because like there aren't many other characters in fiction like Hisoka that are able to just kind of exist in the world and float around and kind of just do anything. Because, like, in a way, you could say, like, he doesn't have because his purpose is just fighting, in a way, he is almost, like, purposeless, but not.
Yes. Yeah, like, he's perfect for a battle, a character I remember comparing to Hisoka was Kenpachi, but less in the fact of, like, as a chaos factor, and more in, like, his traits and his character are perfect for a battle manga, where, like, Kenpachi wants closer fights, and allows for, is like, even as a strong character, he can have more, close encounters even with weaker ones like Ichigo.
Yeah, Kenpachi's kind of like the inverse of how like the power scaling goes, where like you slowly kind of like improve. Kenpachi's the opposite, where like he handicaps himself as much as he can to slowly release his actual true power. And
right, and that's part of his arc where he has to, figure that shit out and stop being a dumbass. But that's like, but even then, like, yeah, he's still not as like you said, free and floaty, like Hisoka just helps on Greed Island, like basically for no reason other than that his like power is really helpful and he just wanted it, like,
because like in that arc he's looking for an exorcist to like help Crollo so he can fight Crollo, but like in the meantime he's like, well, I got nothing better to do. I mean, exactly. Like I'm just kind of waiting.
It doesn't even really help him. Like it helps deal with the bomb. It does. I mean, like I guess you could say that's Hisoka taking a detour, because like doing that helped Gon actually get to the fight with Genthru, which also freed up the Exorcist so that he could actually go help Crollo and Hisoka. Like, I didn't think about it like that at the time, where it's like, yeah, Hisoka took a detour and did the dodgeball and ended up, like, that bit was, important for getting to his destination, basically. So, neat. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent. So, Killua uses Godspeed to get out of Dodge, basically.
Yeah, because like even the other Killua doesn't really trust the other two butlers, and it's because our duty includes protecting your safety, but if it doesn't include Aluka, then they are enemies. Yeah, because exactly. Like that's Killua. He's like, it's not just me. Like if you're not gonna respect and protect Aluka, then you're useless to me, and I don't trust you.
Yeah. Right, because like that's the whole point of Killua doing this, is he wants to, save Gon, and like he even said, I want to save both of them, like, and in this case, like, saving Aluka is paramount to saving Gon, but it's not like it stops there. Like, okay, you can have Aluka back now. Like he's not using her as an object. Like he's, he even specifically says like he doesn't want to rely on Nanaka. Like he tries to say, okay, Nanaka, you can't come out anymore. Like he doesn't want to be like his family and just use Aluka for power.
Yeah.
So he tries to cut that off, but this doesn't work because Aluka and Nanaka are too cute. But anyway, we also get the moment I mentioned earlier with Killua, saying like, if I'm the only one who loves you, that's fine, right? And or would that make you sad? And precious baby. Oh, and then time to hurt.
Time to hurt.
Then we get Hisoka versus Goto.
No. Even before that, because like there is the laugh, but the line that really got me is when Aluka's like, "Do you think I shouldn't be here? Would the family be better off without me?" And it's like, right. Oh no. And that, I think that's what makes like the inhuman anime girl laugh. Like that's what makes it so much powerful, because no, Killua is, like I said earlier, like just having that one person who will like stand up for you and who will like be there for you. Like it means the world, especially when you're in like a position like Aluka where you're cut off from the rest of the world and treated as subhuman and all this stuff. It's her character is so good.
Yeah, I mean, people, say, she doesn't have a character, or like, she's just a plot device, and I don't know, I think, well, one, how much character do you expect someone who's literally been locked away for, her whole entire life to be. And two, like, I literally made a video on plot device characters. She's a great plot device. Like, what she enables for, like, the Zoldyck family dynamic and this conflict is honestly great. Like, it makes the arc, pretty much. Like, the election stuff is cool in its own right, like Pariston's Pariston, but like, this is Alaka and Killua is like where the arc is, you know, and it's a great arc. Like, it's hard to rank because it's like it's so short but it's so good, and I don't know. Well, I haven't even ranked it yet. I have to think about it because I forgot. But anyway, so yeah, did you have anything to say about Hisoka versus Goto?
It hurts. It's sad. The outcome of the fight is sad, but it is.
Well, what hurt me is realizing that, like, Goto has his lesson about the coins, where it's like, don't look at the one thing, look at the hit, and that's how he dies, is because he focuses on the coins, like, because Hisoka's, like, tricking him, and he's like, oh, how many coins am I going to return back to you? And, Goto's like, I'll just shoot down all the coins. The coins didn't matter. Hisoka slipped the coin under his sleeve and dropped down and slit Goto's throat, basically. Like,
oh, shit. I hadn't thought of it from that way. Like, yeah, it's like Hisoka, like, hiding the coin in his sleeve. It's like it didn't matter because there were 2 coins all along.
Exactly, like, yeah, or, like, the coins didn't matter at all. He had, a gun or whatever. Like, no, so Goto kind of, like, he got wrapped up in his own, like, he failed the lesson that he taught others and used, like, because you've pointed out with, like, the dialogue he had with, like, the other characters, where how he'd, like, give little hints in his words, and he'd want them to notice the coin in his sleeve, basically, where Hisoka deliberately didn't want Goto to notice the coin in his sleeve, and just, like, got him focused on the coin flipping between his hands, basically, and while Goto was wearing that, yeah.
I guess it's kind of similar, as far as, like, how the fight plays out. It's kind of similar to the Heaven's Arena fight with Castro, where Hisoka's doing all, like, the magician's secrets, and I've got all the riddles, and so he's kind of, like, playing misdirection with Goto. And so, yeah.
Yeah, no. Just, I don't know, like, Goto's whole character is practically like that little coin thing he did, but he's still, like, he's good. He's a good minor character.
It's another one of those things where, like, the fight is sort of decided before it began, because, Hisoka does the thing when he throws the cards, like, he's casting his Nen all over the place. So, like, even when Goto seemingly has him when he does, like, the rotating coins, and it's like, oh, you're either gonna, your body's gonna, like, contort in on itself from the force of these coins, or, but no, like, Hisoka already had, he's got bungee gum all over the place, so he is able to just, like, he had a contingency from the very beginning, and so all he had to do was just, like, disengage his Nen, and he wins.
Yeah, no, Hisoka's, he's too strong. Like, I don't know, like, because we know the Phantom Troop is really strong, we know, like, the Zodiacs are really strong, we don't know, like, but like Hisoka's, like, he rates the rabbit one like a 7.7. He gives Ilumi like a 9, so it's like implying that well, obviously, like, the rabbit's probably not, like, one of the strongest fighters in the Zodiacs. Jing obviously is, like, probably one of the strongest Nenyu. Like, Netero said that he's not the strongest Nenyus in the world, leaving the question open as to who it is. And would it be Jing? Would it be someone else? Like, I don't know. So. Interesting to consider, but Hisoka's still really strong. Like, yeah, which is also interesting because, like, we were introduced to him, like, fighting Gon in like the first, like, 2 major arcs, the Hunter Exam and the Heaven's Arena, like, fighting against the main characters. But no, he's still one of the strongest characters in the series that we know of. So yeah,
this also kind of makes me wonder like, as far as, like, what Killua could do in the future, because now he's lost one of the people who have really been, like, looking out for him since he was a child, it seems, because we know that Goto had a lot of attachment to Killua, and even then, like, he was one of the butlers that Killua chose to accompany him, knowing that, Goto could kind of look out for him. And so now that he's gone, is that going to affect how Killua is able to kind of operate within... I mean, like, I guess he's already kind of rejected his family, and he's kind of on his own anyway, so maybe he had already just grown past that point, and so that's why Goto died.
No. I mean, there's one little thing with Goto that, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but in the last chapter, but we'll talk about it. But But anyway, Killua is able to sort of escape. He sends off a bunch of they're able to like send a bunch of airships so he can get to the site to heal Gon. Illumi has started to use people as puppets in more like even to the point where they die basically. And Killua tells Moral, which is now they have a way to get other hunters in to potentially help with stopping Illumi and Hisoka. We get a brief introduction to the Pure Paladin squad. Teradine, Bushidora, and Lupe? I think.
Lupe? I don't know.
Lupe, I think that's it. Yeah, basically, they're trying to team up to take down Pariston. They're talking about how we want to reform the bylaws and stuff and, fix the Hunter Association. And so this is really where the lines cross, where they're using the situation with Illumi politically, basically, as a, means to discuss their platform, basically.
Man, Craftsdwarf, how could you read politics into this arc? I'm also looking back even before that, and I think it's a really funny moment is when Amane is freaking out about like Killua escaping, and Kanari is just like, "Oh, you're cute when you let loose a little," and just that face.
It's a cute face. And Connor is just kind of like relaxed because she's obviously like secretly cheering on Killua, so she's just like whatever, she's like she's just like looks like the eyes are just lines because she's like Killua escaped, and where Amane is freaking out because she's more Amane's a girl, right? Or is he the cute boy?
No, Amane is a girl.
Okay, I don't know. The suits are pretty gender neutral, so I'm like. And I don't know, long hair, like, okay, I don't know, I don't remember them saying.
I was gonna say, that's a plot point I did not remember.
Okay, no, I don't, no, I'm just stupid, don't worry. But anyway, so yeah, there's some more shenanigans with the election, like the voting's about to happen, but, they are just going full into the mission. Pariston's manipulating them, because of course he is. Anyway, so Killua...
I like the little part where Hisoka finds the map from the one guy, and he's like, "Oh, I'll use texture surprise and throw Illumi off the trail." And he's like, "Oh, this guy had a map, and he had a spy anyway." And Hisoka's just like, "Oh, right." And he's just got that face as he like throws the paper away.
Yeah, and then and just in general, like the fact that they have maps is like the temp hunters were so clumsy and inefficient as hunters. Like they're basically sub-bar hunters, is because like they don't actually have hunter license. They're just able to take hunter work, and so like the hunter association relying on them probably isn't the best thing if they're gonna like be a kind of like competent elite group. And now of course they're dealing with like Hisoka and Illumi, who are really strong Nen users. Like there's the part where it's like, what, they need an army to take down. It's just like and Hisoka's like, what about just one man? Like he's just or no, Illumi must have dozens of soldiers in it. No, it's just Hisoka. Like they're just that strong. But anyway, Illumi runs into Killua, and here's where you get the part with Hisoka talking about who he should spare and who he should kill if he wants to get the most fighting, and just being very Hisoka and having creepy faces. Illumi forces Killua to use to have Alika make a wish, grant a wish, which Alika heals Subone's hand.
We also find out that like an interesting thing about Subone's character, because she realizes that Illumi and Miluki were able to like hack into like her eyeglass that she was using to, I guess, transmit whatever was happening to Killua's mother.
Yes.
And so even though she realizes that she is being she's being spied on, and that she is the spy, like she's not gonna, like, her loyalty to Killua's mother is stronger than her whatever kind of like admiration she develops for Killua over the course of this arc, or even her distrust of Illumi.
Yes, right. Like, she in a family battle, like, you do have these kind of mixed up loyalties. So it's like at the end of the day, the Silva and I can't remember the mother's name. I know she has a name. I just realized I don't remember them actually saying it off the top of my head. But like yeah, they're basically the heads of the family. So yeah, they're the one, or unless there's another reason, because Sibona is old, so she's been around for a while, presumably. So the ones that that she might have more trust with them too, and just for that reason. So but anyway, then we get great Killua moment where first Alika, did I do good? Hug me, and Alika gets all the hugs, and Nanika as they deserve.
Yeah, and that's what's a really interesting it's a really interesting thing about Nanika is that she's better at destroying than healing, but like this is where we start to like find out that like, oh, she's just doing this for praise. Like she the line where Killua says, she's kinder than anyone. Not once has she demanded anything cruel in return after a wish to heal. The one who's cursed is the one making the wishes. And, so like
which is so, yeah.
So it's like, not even that like her ability has the potential to be dangerous, I guess. And so like in that, like, but no one has ever considered, like Killua was the only one who treated Nanika as, a person, as not something that was just like subhuman. So he was able to, recognize that, okay, maybe this ability has like the potential to be dangerous, but it's just potential. Like it also has the potential to do great things. And
yeah,
so like it's like no one had ever considered like what if Nanika is just a nice person who just wants acknowledgement and just wants to be praised in this case.
Yeah, because the ability it's like how it kind of it reflects what it's used for, basically. Like if it's used for bad things, it does bad things. If it's used for good things, it's that's it. It's just used for good things. Like she just falls asleep, and like it reflects the world around her, basically. And the Zoldycks only ever saw it as a dangerous bad ability because they only ever saw Nanika as something other, something dangerous, something bad, because they didn't understand it like Killua did. So. And of course, Killua has like, another really great moment where he's like, he tells Illumi, if you ever treat her as subhuman again, you're no longer my brother. Like, basically saying like, you're not my family if you can't accept Alika as as family, like, or at least a human. Killua's so good. But yeah, Illumi says that he won't back down as long as he doesn't know the whole truth, and Killua says that he can't. Because, another needle will be put in his head. His fucking family. So anyway, we get the moment of moral scolding the Pure Paladin squad.
And then they're dead.
Yeah, then they're just, yeah. Terradin's
I really liked how the anime had handled it, where in the manga, it's like I guess like a pre-recorded video or something, or I don't know. Because obviously Morel doesn't notice that the person he's talking to has been decapitated. But like in the anime, they do it as like it's over the phone, and so like Morel like just in his rage just like hangs up. But it's like, oh, but he was killed during the phone call sort of thing, and it adds like an extra sort of like dramatic, I don't know, a dramatic flair to it.
Right, because he doesn't even realize that he's dead until after the fact. Anyway, we got one volume left, or slightly less than a volume left. This discussion has been like what, two like a volume and a how long is this arc?
It's about 2 volumes. Yeah, it's like it's over 3, but it's like one chapter of a third.
So we've talked about one volume for an hour and a half plus the Kurapika special. Oh my god, this is like I'm getting Saboti where it's just like this really short arc that we talked for like 2.5 hours. Because it's also it's the short arcs are so interesting for some reason. Like not all the time, but like, goddamn, it's just it's interesting how it works out. So anyway, Cheadle talks to Jing, and he's sort of like giving her like, you should have done been like this, because again he was already on 4th dimensional chess. Poor Cheadle's doing normal 3-dimensional or regular chess. And, like, he even says, like, yeah, go ahead and call it hindsight, like, because, you know, she's thinking he's only coming up with it retroactively because, you know, she can only see, like, yeah, that would have been a good move, but no, he's just a smart guy.
Yeah, and he's like, you wouldn't have believed me if I'd told you before.
Yep.
It's also really interesting, like, what this arc kind of says about Cheadle, because where you have Pariston and Jing kind of manipulating the field and getting things to go as they want and predicting all this stuff ahead of time and really, like, being hunters, Cheadle is just kind of left, you know, scrambling to put the pieces together, and she's, like, asking for help most of the time, and so she can't really, you know, in a way, like, I think Jing even has a line where he says, like, you know, are you a hunter or not, or something like that, like, because, like, she's just asking for help. She's not really taking the risks or really, like, doing anything to, like, she's acting very predictably because she wants to win, and that's making her easy to read.
Right, because she is a very pure-hearted, like, you know, but that's exactly kind of why, like, you know, she becomes predictable. Like, you know, Jing finally points out, like, yeah, Pariston, he doesn't want to win or lose. He just wants to fuck around. Like, that's his goal. Like, his goal is to, you know, screw around with his opposition because it's fun to him. Like, you know, Jing doesn't care, but about that same thing. But, you know, Pariston is Pariston. Oh yeah, and Cheadle especially gets mad when Jing points out that, yeah, Pariston's the one who closest, you know, follows Netero's footsteps, which is, like, you know, also kind of why, like, he's not fit to be the chairman, because Netero does, like, or I'm pretty sure he wants some level of reform. Like, I think he said something like that in his will, or, one of his messages, like, that, you know, that, maybe the association should change. So, in that case, like, Pariston or Jing are bad fits because they're closer to the chairman. Like, Jing is just like, yeah, I just want whatever the chairman wants. Like, you know, he's not putting any of his own individuality into, like, you know, like, what he's doing for the Hunter Association. He just wants to do his own thing outside of it. Like, he just happens to be, like, you know, he's the perfect hunter, but he's also, like, his fickleness is also maybe, you know, part of why he's such a good hunter, basically. Even though it makes him unfitting as, like, you know, for having a good position in the association, where Cheadle, you know, she's different from Netero, so she'd probably be a better, you know, replacement because she could, you know, do something different for the association, you know. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in more Cheadle going forward past this arc. I mean,
well, yeah, because at the end of the arc, she is named the chairman. So she is exactly. I don't know. She's placed in a big role, and we've seen what Netero did as the chairman of the association. So, yeah, I am excited to see more Cheadle. Like, hopefully she'll be put in a scenario where she's not just being, you know, not just trying to play catch up with Jing and Pariston. Like, she can actually kind of succeed on her own.
Yeah, and the other thing about the Zodiacs that I also want to see, because, like, we know they're strong, you know, but it's, like, especially, like Pariston, he's just a dude in a suit. It's hard to imagine him also being, like, able to stand toe-to-toe with, like, some of the royal guards or something like that, where, you know, so I would be curious to see how their abilities and their fighting capabilities, since, you know, like, obviously there's going to be variants, you know, but, you know, Cheadle's presumably pretty strong, too. So, yeah. So, anyway, they're on to the final, part of the election with the last 4 candidates. Cheadle, Ms. Istom, Leorio, who's like, how did this happen? Why am I here? What's going on? And Pariston, like, So anyway, yeah, Killua reaches Gon with Aluka. The hunters are stuck there until the chairman.
And this is where, like, being a character in the universe it would be really interesting, because you have, like, all of the characters like, no, don't vote for me, vote for this person. No, don't vote for me, vote for this other person. Because Mizai-Stom's like, vote for Cheadle. Cheadle's like, vote for Leorio. Yes. Leorio's like, I'm going to abuse my power, so if you want to vote for me, I'm going to make you all help Gon. And then Pariston's just like, vote for Mizai-Stom. Because, like, we know, like, Pariston, he doesn't try to win, but he doesn't try to lose. And so, like, at this point, he's kind of just like, I'm just going to stall.
Well, that's honestly, like, maybe the funniest moment in the series for me, because it's like you get all this build up because, you know, Ms. Istom says, like, I'm not experienced, you know, enough, so vote for Cheadle. And Cheadle's like, well, you know, vote for Leorio. And then Leorio's like, you know, I just want to use this for my own personal. And then Pariston comes up and is like, LMAO, vote for Ms. Istom. What a fucking asshole. It's so funny because he just like he just doesn't give a fuck. And he comes up with this argument, oh yeah, Mathwiz, that the reason you step down is because you're humble. Let's just, I got a good laugh out of that. Holy shit. It's so funny. But anyway, there's some other good moments too. Like Lirio's, speech, he just like, yeah, he's very transparent. He's just like, I'm just, gonna use my position to do whatever I can to help Gon, and that's it. Like, I don't care, And like, and here we get the moment of like sort of guilt where like, yeah, Gon was fighting and training and doing all at Greed Island, and the Chimera Ant, and Lirio just says like, yeah, he was just studying and drinking and partying with girls and wanking off on the internet, and he was like, what? Excuse, like, he just like, yeah, opens up about that. And I'm like, okay. Well, it's especially funny later because there's like, he's like, I said some things I shouldn't have. Forget the part about me wanking off. And then, like, everyone starts applauding. And I just want to, like, cut those panels out as, like, a Hunter x Hunter out of context. Where it's, like... Because I just saw those panels, and it's out of context. It just makes no sense. Forget about me jacking off. And then, like... what? But no, it is a good moment for Leorio, because, he just, like... he wasn't there when...
oh yeah, and then the page help. After it when it's like, I'm sure he'll make a good chairman.
Yeah, no, because he's like thinking about his friends, and Hunter x Hunter's just about friendship after all. And but no, yeah, it's good. Lyra is good.
I also like when Pariston walks up and I forget the name of the character, but she's like, put your cell phones away. Pariston's going to make a speech. And Pariston's like, no, by all means, remain on your cell phones. That's the hunter spirit.
And then there's another moment where, like, Cheadle's breaking down the boats, and she kind of, like, looks to Jing for help, and he's just fucking asleep, and she's like, fine, I can think for myself, like... Ooh, and then we get the Killua goes to help Gon, and we see Gon's hand. It's practically like a bone in God. Like we don't see the full body, but we don't need to. Like, because we know it's in as bad of a state. Like, holy shit, how is this boy alive? God. But Nanika heals him. Releases that aura. Like we see everyone react to it because it's intense amount of power. Ilumi says that he wants that power for himself. So anyway, Lirio has the most votes, but not the majority, so they're going to do a recount. Pariston continues to fuck around because at this point, like he already knows he's going to lose. He knew that from the beginning, but now he got the vibe that Gon must be awake, so I better kill time until Gon arrives. And then
yeah, like the part where he's like trying to talk to Leorio, and Leorio's like, I'm gonna get you all to save Gon, and then Pariston looks at the door and he's like, oh, that would have been perfect timing. Oh well, I'm not God or anything.
Yeah, no, it's a good little gag. And then of course, like just a couple minutes later, Gon actually comes in, and like you see our Moral, like, he's crying, and he's like, yeah, thumbs up, and everyone's there, the gang's all there, and
yeah,
Lirio just goes to see his friend, and they hug, and for meeting for the first time in like 200 chapters, and it's so good, wholesome and good. And yeah, Pariston explains that
and then everyone's just like applauding for Gon, and they're like, I'll vote for you, and Gon's just like,
what's going on? Like, he's just like, thanks? What the hell is happening? And yeah, Pariston explains that, he basically knew, since Jing spoke before.
That also makes it interesting because, like, just from a writing perspective, like, Togashi would have had to have known, like, at the start of this arc, like, okay, this is how things... So, because, like, that's, like, the first chapter where Pariston shows up, that he has that interaction with Jing, and it's like, okay, this is the decisive moment for the arc. Like, this is when the election ended, before it had even began.
Right, which, like I said, the expression, going back, you can see what that expression was implying, but there's a few ways to read it in the moment, so it's like, it's good. And I also like what Pariston talks about, with how, like, when he's explaining it, where it's like Cheadle's like shocked, is like, how could you have trusted people you've never met to save Gon? And he's like, I trusted Jing as a worthy enemy. Like he's kind of like the opposite of Moral in that sense, because Moral is like, yeah, I trust my allies. Like if they say if you're on the field and they say they're going to do something, they're going to get it done. You know, where Pariston's like, he trusts, like, yeah, he trusts Jing as an enemy. So if he says Gon's going to come back, Gon's going to come back somehow. Like, you know, and I guess in that way, sort of Pariston, like, I don't know, because Pariston kind of wins and loses, you know? Like, winning is also a loss for him because he didn't want to win or lose, so...
yeah.
But you know, like, he had more respect for his opponents than Cheadle did for, you know, him, basically, I think. Oh, and then we get, like... and they're pointing to Jing and they're like, Gon, your dad's here, and
Jing's just like, uh-oh.
He's just like so awkward. Like everyone's like reacting like they're not used to seeing Jing caught off balance like this. He's like, don't cry, calm down, not here. He doesn't know how to do any of this at all. Like, because yeah, they're not like, yeah, they're blood related, but like, you know, Gon doesn't even see Jing, like, he never calls him dad. He only ever calls him Jing. Like, you know, they're related, but he's basically just this hunter kid, and, you know, Jing's this hunter. Like, you know,
I also think you've got the little moment where Gon is like, you know, he talks about like, oh, they killed Kite and this and that, and he's like, I should be the one who's dead, and Jing's just like, no, stop.
Yeah, no, like Jing's able to finally tell Gon what he needs to hear, because, you know, because he knows Kite better, like no one else during the Chimera Ant arc was able to say, because they didn't know Kite as well. But Jing's like, you know, Jing basically, like, you know, made Kite into a hunter, and he's like, yeah, Kite just got cocky, you know, it's you know, it's his fault, like, yeah, even though that he, you know, kind of died but didn't. So, you know, and Gon was blaming himself for being weak, but no, it was Kite's fault. And he even gives like advice for like, okay, next, you know, apologize, make a promise, and keep that promise. Like, that's all you have to do. And Gon accepts it. And of course, there's a bit after that where Gon's like, can we talk more later? And Jing's like, I'm busy. And everyone like, you're a shitty father. You call yourself that. You're heartless. You suck. Like, Jing's the heel of the Hunter Association. No one likes him. And yeah, you could also see that as like an audience thing too, because like we know how shitty of a dad Jing is, you know, like Gon doesn't even consider him a dad, like, so it's funny to see him get that like in universe too. And the best part, well, maybe not the best part because there's so many good moments, but it's like with Gon especially is like Pariston's like, oh, do you want to vote for me or Leorio? And he's like, Leorio can't become a chairman. He's got to be a doctor. Like, yes. All of the political maneuvering, all of the bullshit, all of the vote, like, it's just beaten by, like, a pure innocent kid and basic fucking logic. Like, and Leorio's like, yeah, Gon's back. I don't care. I vote for you, too. And he just fucking leaves. And Cheadle's just like, she's like, well, what? Like, she just has, like, a, you know, ellipse exclamation part. She's just like, And
I also like how like when Gon leaves and Jing is literally fighting people.
I did it right.
And when he goes to see him off, he's got like two people like
in headlock.
Yeah, in headlocks, and he's like, "Hey, by the way."
You know, yeah, Kite had an ability that, you know, activates when he doesn't want to die. So he, you know, even if he was in a near-death situation, like, you know, he had something up his sleeve that would have kept him alive. So it's not like he was sacrificing himself for Gon and Killua, you know, which further alleviates like Gon's, you know, anxieties about his, you know, what the incident.
What I also like, and I don't think this is a line I really noticed before, but when Jing is like, you know, apologize the right way or he'll kick your ass again, and Gon is like, wait, again? And so I think that's like Jing, he had to have heard about Kite meeting Gon the first time. And right, so, like, it shows that, like, even if Jing is shy and he, like, doesn't, you know, like, is he a great father? No. But, you know, it shows that he does care, at least, like, a little. And you get that smile on Gon's face where he's like, yeah.
No, yeah, no, it's a good little, because, yeah, Because, Jing even, like, with Greed Island, like, he set up a way for Gon to see him after beating the game if he, did a very specific thing. He still has some attachment to his son, even though, like, he's also not a very good dad. And then, of course, Pariston wins the election. He's like immediately on the same page that we see Pariston when he's just like, all right, I make Cheadle my vice chairman and resign. Like, you motherfucker. God, Pariston's great, honestly. Like, I don't think I really appreciated him going through the series before, but reading him this chapters, I'm like, I love this little fuck. Like,
this is another one of those, like, the arcs getting that kind of, like, anticlimactic finish. And the same goes with Gon meeting Jing, too, because, like, he doesn't do anything in this arc to, like, earn it. He just kind of, like, shows up and Jing happens to be there. All this
build up and they just bump into each other and, like, for, reasons unrelated to anything.
I mean, not to say that, like, Gon didn't earn it, because, I mean, like,
no, yeah. Well,
let's be honest, he beat Greed Island. If Jing wasn't a coward, Gon would have met him right then and there.
Right. Well, what I was going to point out is that, like, yeah, again, detours. The Chimera Ant arc was a giant detour, and it happened to lead Gon to his dad, So same thing with Hisoka and Greed Island that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, because it's about, like, the things you find on the way to your destination are more important than what you want. And so, for Jing, it's like friends, and it's friendship, the power of friendship.
Yes.
Because, like, what did Gon, like, what happened with Gon on the way to meeting Jing? Like, him meeting Jing in an anticlimactic way is kind of the point, because, like, at that point, it's not about meeting Jing anymore, because, like, what are the real takeaways? Like, Gon made this incredible friendship with Killua, and,
right.
Made all these different connections and learned so much about the world.
Yeah,
Leorio and Kurapika.
Yeah, especially those three, of course, but also the other hunters were there too, like, watching over him. Like, Moral especially was, a big help, because they are, right. And, well, that's why I like the last chapter of this reading, especially because, like, yeah, Jing says that, and then after that, the rest of the chapter focuses on the people that Gon met, basically, throughout his adventure. Like, not this wasn't the important part wasn't their meeting. We'll talk about that later, but, because we're almost there. But yeah, there's, Pariston resigns, even Jing's like, didn't see that one coming. Like, Pariston is officially on fifth dimensional chess.
And of course, like, and again, with things being anticlimactic, like, Cheadle wins the seat of chairman by losing the election, and so it's like that hollow victory where she just feels like she's being toyed with, and it's like, do you have to make a mockery of everything?
And then Pariston also then gives, like, a great moment where he talks about how, like, he, like, the whole thing was in a way him grieving over Netero, because, like, Netero was, like, a good opponent for him, and, like, I just wanted to play with him a bit more. Like, I don't know, I can't help but see this as genuine, even though he's just a fucking, like, troll the whole time, like...
Well, I mean, when else does he make, like, a genuine, like, sad face? Like,
right, like...
and you can see him, like, wiping away tears.
Right, and he's even saying, like, don't let the Hunter Association become boring. And, like, or else, like, he'll be a real enemy. Like, no, Pariston, he's so good. He's a piece of shit, but he's great. Like, I keep thinking about Baka Oji, how he's also this, like, awful, horrible person who's just, like, an asshole troll. But, like, so Pariston's kind of like, I guess that's an idea that he expanded on, or reused in a different way with Pariston, I'd say. So, I don't know. Yeah, I'm surprised at how much I like Pariston. Because he's great. Gon and Leorio are talking. Or were we done, or did we have more to say before?
No, that was it for that.
Okay, gotcha.
But with Gon, I think you get something important, because sometimes I'll see people say that, like, oh, Gon's actions in Chimera Ant, like he doesn't deserve Killua as a friend. Like, Killua is too good for him, and, like, I understand, because, like, Killua he's a pure boy, he's a good boy. Even so much so that, like, when, like, his Nen ability, like, when they did the divination thing with the water, like, his aura made the water sweet. Like, he is so sweet that, like, literally his Nen is sweet. I thought that was an interesting thing I stumbled across. But yeah, like, people will say, like, oh, Gon said this terrible stuff, and, like, Killua doesn't deserve him, but or not, no, the other way around. He doesn't deserve Killua. Like, Killua deserves better friends. And I mean, like, I guess there's a degree to which that can be true, because, like, Killua's arc was about, you know, like, he didn't respect himself enough, and he needed to find his self-worth. But, like, at this point, he's done that. And like I said, in the last stretch, Killua was like, I'm going to make him apologize for this. Like, what he did wasn't okay. And Gon recognizes that, like, his actions weren't okay. Like, he said terrible stuff, and he needs to apologize. And we see, like, how he reacts to feeling like he let Kite down. Like, I guess because he doesn't have that same reaction visibly that we see about Killua, so maybe people are like, oh, he doesn't care, or, you know, it's not treated with enough gravitas. But I feel like the two are intertwined. Like, the fact that he feels so bad about Kite can also kind of be reflective of his attitude towards Killua.
Yeah, because, like, he did put all this emotional weight into Kite, and, you know, which was wrong of him in the first place, because, you know, he was, like, burdened about the death and stuff and the sacrifice when, as Jing said, it wasn't really a sacrifice. Like, Kite, you know, kind of has things, you know, ways to manage, but even though he did come back in a different way. But yeah, we'll get to their apology too. So, but anyway, now I guess we get the moment you talked about earlier with the Illumi posing a choice for Killua, and Killua says, just orders Nanika to send Illumi home. Like, yeah, he just completely rejects him, and it's satisfying. Eat shit, Illumi. Anyway, then we get the moment where Killua tells Nanika she can't come out because, you know, again, so that Alaka can be free of being used for Nanika's power, and, you know, Killua won't also, you know, abuse said power either. Like, even though, you know, he's not really abusing it because he tries to only use it for healing, but, you know. But yeah, she gets mad, and she's cute. Alaka, she's so angry.
Well, yeah, because, like, that's the thing that, like, this arc kind of gets across, is that, you know, Nanika is not just an ability. Nanika is not just a thing. Even though Nanika literally is translated as something, you know, she's still a person. Like, she's still someone who deserves respect. And so to reject Nanika is to reject Aluka.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, there's, like, an interesting, like, metaphorical takeaway that, again, like the Ember video about gender identity touched on, that, like, you know, to reject that part of Aluka is to reject Aluka sort of wholesale. And it is interesting because it shows Killua, you know, he's got this perspective that, you know, even though he thinks he's supporting Aluka and he's doing what's best for Aluka, he still kind of, like, projects his own sort of, like, insecurities and his own kind of, like, idea of what's best for Aluka onto Aluka, as opposed to actually considering, like, what's best for Aluka and Nanika.
Right.
And so, like, that I think is huge for his character, because, like, I don't know, it just shows how far he's come, and it's like, I don't know, he's a good boy.
They're very good. They're good siblings. And yeah, Killua, like, realizes it's wrong. He's like, no, you know, like, he says, like, oh, Illumi was still in my head. Like, he's still thinking like his family in that sense, which, you know, like, as you were just kind of getting at. And, nope, I gotten rid of the last Illumi head. I'm good. You know, Nanika, you know, he apologizes.
It's a good scene.
Will you forgive me for being such a rotten big brother? And they're crying like babies,
I'm not sure what the takeaway of, like, Killua's precaution level being released.
Yeah, I guess, like, the family is letting them off the leash for now. Like, so Silva's kind of doing the same thing he did at the end of the Zoldyck family arc, but that even when he's got Aluka with him, so...
yeah, because, like, I know you see, like Subone is crying there, so, like, she's, you know, like, emotionally affected, but I don't know if I'd believe that, like, oh, man, Killua's a good big brother. I guess we've been treating him poorly all this time.
Oh,
man,
no,
I guess he's...
I refuse to believe that she's just like, yeah, he's completely forgiven and the family is fine. No, they're just like, we'll deal with this later. Like, that's the only thing I can think of where it's like, because Silva was pretty insistent that, you know, he would come back to them. I wonder if it's because of the needle, you know, because, like, again, the needle's supposed to train him to be a Zoldyck,
well, because even in this arc, when they know that Killua doesn't have the needle anymore, like, he's still willing to trust Killua to some extent. Now, I guess it's uncertain as to how much that has that trust has been broken through Killua's actions here. But again,
Right.
like, it was an intra-family mission, so maybe it's just like, we'll deal with this later because, like, we have to deal with Illumi and figure out, like, what, I don't know. So they need to come to more of, like, a general family consensus, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, so, either way, I imagine when the Zoldycks, because it's hard to imagine them being done in this, like I said, like, even if Killua's character arc is, like, quote-unquote done, or it's at a point where it could theoretically end, it's, like, the family is still unresolved, so, yeah. So anyway, moving on, there's an interesting interesting chapter with the Chimera ant, the koala. I forget his name, but he sort of talks about his like life and perspective on death and stuff, of how he's sort of like a paid killer, like he just kind of like didn't believe in anything, but then like
I feel like this is just as integral to the kind of the ending of Hunter x Hunter, or like at least where the anime ends, like this last chapter we read, because as much as we the quote that I often go back to is Jing's. Another powerful one is the it seems small things infinitesimally small thing, like small,
I know the word
these like
yeah.
such incredibly like tiny aspects of our lives are like necessary to build the entire universe. And so it's again like appreciating those detours and like
the small
taking
things
time
and how they
to
build into the large picture.
yeah.
That's I didn't think about it like that. That's good. Because I also like this chapter. It's interesting because it's like the art is very like sketchy and stuff. Like it feels like a chapter that Togashi was struggling with, but then it's not redrawn for the volume release. And the chapters after this are perfectly fine again. So it's actually like a deliberate stylistic choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because otherwise he would have just redrawn it, like, because this looks more like the infamous pages, than it does like the normal art, like, but it kind of works because like most of it's in flashback and they're kind of talking about like existential topics in the first place, and I thought it was interesting, like it's surprising how interesting this character is after just a chapter, the koala, where like especially like his sort of like realization that he's like, oh, I shouldn't, like, he tried to save the girl by killing her because, being killed is a release from the suffering of life. But then he realizes, like, no, I should have shot the killers chasing her. Like, he has this regret. And
yeah, because he had even said, like, the decision was ultimately, like, oh, I feared for my own safety more than...
Yeah, because, then the safety of the girl, even though he's like waxing philosophical about how it's so tragic that she died, and like he also says like because you're right, that would have been the tough road to follow, is like going against, like he basically conformed to the world around him because of how he saw it, and instead of like rejecting the wrongness of the world and trying actually saving this girl. So now and Kite kind of like, okay, stay with me and live a life you think is right, or I'll kill you. So Kite's, I don't know. I expect we'll see more of these two again, I mean, Kite is Kite, so...
yeah.
But no, it was an interesting, like, discussion between the characters.
And it is interesting how the koala's perspective is kind of, how it plays off of Gon's, because, Kite is like, sorry for what? Like, what are you apologizing for? And then, of course, Gon goes through the thing like, I was too weak. Next time, I'll stand by you. And, like, he recognizes, that... Like, he recognizes what he did wrong. And that, like, it wasn't just his efforts that got him to this point. And so, like, he needs to be more grateful for the people who helped get him to where he is. The fact that he's still alive. And so, yeah, and then Kite's like, I guess that makes two of us. And so, like, they have that understanding. But it's also, like, because Gon realized that he shouldn't be running away, the koala is like, you know what? Yeah, I've been running away, and I need to stop.
Yeah, like, no, yeah, it's neat. I probably had more to say, but maybe, I don't know. I'll think about it more on my own, I guess, because, like I said, it's an interesting chapter, and, yeah, I don't know, it's neat to see that, yeah, the Chimera ants are just, like, yeah, they're just here now. Like, we saw, like, Palm was one of the hunters who came in with, Gon, so, like, she's just an ant, like, and then, Meliaron Ikalgo were helping guard the makeshift hospital. Like, yeah, they're just here now. So, oh yeah, and of course it ends with the punchline of like, yeah, Jing is on top of the world tree, so like he didn't say he'd wait here, because of course. And then we get the little Gon and Killua tourist adventure briefly with Aluka. Killua gets to like drive the nails in about the apology, and Gon, like, he's got the cat face while Gon's like, I'm sorry. And yeah, like Kill even says like, yeah, because, you know, even though what you did was wrong, because of like all that happened, like, you know, I'm able to be with my sister now. Like, you know, things were able to, you know, turn out, things turn out well. So he can't like, you know, he's not gonna like torment his friend about it or hold it over him. Like he's not a shithead. Like he's Killua. He just wants the apology, and Gon, of course, it's Gon. He feels it genuinely. It's not like he's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's not like he doesn't care. He does care a lot, but it's like, it's also, you know, it's not a big deal. It's in the past. It happened. You know, they apologized. We're good. It's good. It's good. It's good. And yeah, Gon says Kite's words like, no matter you know what, like where we go, we're still part of the same group. Like they're still friends, even though they're separating for the first time, like, and you know, since like the end of the Hunter exam for the Zoldyck arc. Like they've been together they've been together for basically the whole story.
I know when I first went through this scene in the anime, like I was bawling. It's like, no. But it's also it's what's best for them, and especially like after everything that happened in the Chimera Ant arc, and they kind of, you know, their friendship was kind of like strained as much as it could be. But now, like, it kind of goes to show that they had kind of, like, I don't know, before, like, when they were on Whale Island or whatever, and Killua was like, well, I don't really know what I want to do. And Gon's like, well, why don't you just, you know, stick around with me until you figure out what you want to do. And now they've kind of gotten to that point. They've kind of, like, as much as they play off of each other really well, and they kind of are, like, two halves of a whole, sort of, with the way that, like, Gon is able to make, you know, like, their personalities are, like, the opposites of each other in a way that just, like, they just mesh.
Yeah.
But, you know, the Chimera Ant arc also kind of showed that there's, like, a negative aspect to that. Like, they can become too dependent on each other, or, you know, they can do things that hurt each other. And there is a video in, like, that idea, I want to turn that into a video somehow about just, like, how friendship works and how things can be complicated and stuff. But, like, ultimately, you know, they were able to help each other grow, and they've kind of grown to the point where, like, they don't necessarily need to depend on each other anymore.
Yeah.
At least for Killua's sake. Like, I think maybe Gon still has a little more development to do, but that's kind of something, like, he needs to be able to develop away from Killua. Like, again, like, with him making the messes and Killua cleaning them up for him, you know, how long is he going to be able to do that? Maybe that's something that could be worked on for him.
Maybe he could just make less messes.
Yeah. So,
or clean up after himself, right?
So I feel like Killua, you know, we've talked about, like, oh, maybe he's kind of reached, like, the natural end of his character arc as far as, like, a progression standpoint goes. Whereas, like, Gon maybe still has a little more development to do, but to really develop, he can't stay by Killua's side forever, sort of thing. Yeah, and it's not like, oh, they're not friends anymore, which is why it's, like, established, like, no matter where we go, you know, we'll always be friends. So...
Yes. And I just realized it's kind of funny how it's the opposite of One Piece, where, like, with One Piece, like, the crew is so fun together, and they're a family, you want them to stay together. But with Hunter x Hunter, I think it's cool that they can split up like this, you know, where it's like they all have their own individual desires. Like, Killua finally has his own desire that isn't latched to Gon, you know, it's, you know, it's still like, I want to protect Aluka, but it's like, so he's going to go off and protect Aluka. He doesn't need to be by Gon's side to do that, you know, just like Kurapika, you know, he was gone for most of the story because he had his own desires that he's acting on. You know, Leorio's studying for school, like, they're just off doing their own things because they're their own individuals, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, we finally get to the talk with Gon and Jing. You know, Jing talks about how, like, you know, yeah, he didn't, like, accomplishing the thing wasn't the thing that, like, he liked the most about doing it. It was, like, seeing the people he worked with, like, who really cared about it, be, like, and getting vicarious enjoyment out of that, and, you know, like, you know, the people he met and the connections he made were more important than what he did alongside them, basically. which I think is neat and interesting, because like, especially because Jing, he just like, he does one thing, like, yeah, he refurbished these tombs, he met with all these archaeologists, he worked, and then he just, at some point he made Greed Island. We saw him messing around with animals. Like, he just does, like, he accomplishes his dream, and then he goes and does the next thing, which is like kind of the point where Gon's at now, where he's like, he's met his dad, he's done what he wanted to do. So now he has to find a new dream, which is like, because I think that's also an interesting thing that maybe I don't see enough in these kind of stories, where it's like, especially like compare like to Naruto and One Piece, where it's like, Naruto, I'm going to become the Hokage and be recognized by the village. And Luffy's like, I'm going to become Pirate King. Like, these are things that happen at the end of their stories, Like, the whole story is on their one dream. But here, like, you even have people saying Hunter x Hunter should have ended at this point exactly because, like, he met his one dream. But, like, with Jing, it's like, you don't have to only have one dream. You can, go find another one.
I think it also kind of speaks to, especially coming off of, like, the existential stuff with Chimera Ant and just, like, the nature of, like, the human condition. Like, when people are always striving for more, like, even when you accomplish one thing, it's like, okay, what can I do next? Like, people don't really do well with stagnation. So it's always like, okay, that's why, like, people are always, like, inventing new things or trying to explore new, places we haven't been before. So yeah. I don't know. I do think it's like interesting having that, like, reflected in this story where, because, like, that's what Jing even says. Like, I'm always after what I need, or, what he's searching for is what he doesn't have. And so, like, that's something it'll constantly be changing, because, like, as soon as he has something, it's no longer what he doesn't have. So right. The search continues again.
Yeah, and
but it's also tied in with the whole friendship thing, because, like, we're always going to be striving for more, but even so, the thing that's important is not the things that we are striving for, but the things we find along the way. Like, that's where the real satisfaction and the fulfillment comes from.
No, yeah, it's great.
So in a way, like, it goes to show, like, yeah, people will strive for different goals, and it's important to keep evolving and keep looking for new things. But at the same time, to kind of tie it back to Kurapika, like, don't fixate too much on that goal,
because
goes to then Jing's, you will miss. The detours,
the little I was right. We were going the same direction, where it's like it ties back to it's Jing's thing, where it's like because that's the issue with, like, desire and wanting things, is if you get too fixated on the desire, you can lose yourself, or, like, cut off everything. Like, maybe Kurapika could kill the troop if he just cut off everything and didn't. But then what would he lose for that? And the answer would be a lot. So it's like that, which is why Jing is perfect, because he doesn't get wrapped up in those in those desires, because he's able to focus on the little things and the happenstances, the detours, the small, and it's great. The story itself is like that because of the way it just, like, Chimera Ant is a big detour, as I mentioned, and it's a really well loved arc, and definitely my favorite in the series. Like, it's so good.
See, that's what almost makes me wonder, when, what was it? If this is, like, the ending that is, like, not the ending. Like, what if this is the good ending of Hunter x Hunter? And if Kurapika represents all the negative sides of desire, what if that's going to be the bad ending? No, Kurapika.
No! Well,
I know Togashi has said some cryptic stuff about what's stuff with Kurapika and the troop, and I'm like, no, Togashi, nope.
Well, and the whole thing about detours is, it's just, like, so, like, perfect for the genre in general, like, especially because, like, again, I'm really into One Piece, and I've seen people like, oh, Zoe is the best arc because it does the most plot advancement. Like, people are fixated on the One Piece, on the quote-unquote main plot, on the big stuff, when One Piece is also, like, not, it doesn't directly call attention to it like Hunter x Hunter does, but, like, what is Skypiea but not, like, a big detour that happens to feed into the main story with the poneglyph, like, them going on this detour for this bell, this adventure for the sake of having an adventure, like, doesn't matter in itself, but then, like, the things they made these connections with the Sky People, and they found they got dials for that, which, improved, like, Usopp's and Nami's capabilities, and then Robin found the poneglyph that turns out to be, like, mention other things major to, like, the overall plot. Like, it's a big detour, but people still don't like Skypiea because, it doesn't matter to the main. You could just skip Skypiea. It's like, motherfuckers, read Hunter x Hunter and get the point, because it's just, like, it's so perfect for the adventure genre, and then like regarding like the whole like desires thing, like Jing talks about the dark continent, how there's so much more to the world, and like there's always going to be something out there to find, and then like go on to the last chapter of the reading is it's like I just, like I mentioned before, I like how it goes into like all the people that Gon met along the way. Like we get Mito, he's gone like finally contacted her and he call home. It's been like over a year, like almost 2 years now, or months since the Greed Island, or right before York New was when they last would have right before York New, after the Heaven's Arena, I think, was last he met her. Moral and Nav resolve their bet. I just realized that like Moral kind of actually calls it off, because like Moral bet 100,000 on Nav and or not Knuckle and Shoot, where Nav bet 1 million on everyone, but then Moral, they just buy a bottle of alcohol that's the same price, and they toast over Netero's death with it. Like he just kind of like and it's interesting because the whole chapter is like delivered without like words after the first few pages basically. So just get a lot of scenes that are cool.
Yeah, it's a very good chapter. For that reason, like it is just.
Yeah, it's always neat. Like even with we don't see it that often. Chapters delivered without words. Like I remember the Fairy Tail had a couple Guild Arts focused ones that were no dialogue at all, and they were kind of fun for that reason. So it's neat to see something, throw away something we just text, something we're so we commonly expect from a the manga manga in general. So it's neat to see the authors flex their sort of ability to tell stories and show scenes without that. So
and I do think it's also kind of interesting because like in the imagery itself you have all the characters kind of bonding over this like sunrise and this like beautiful sort of set piece. So like even like the words not being present, like they're all in different locations, they're all kind of like watching this like live feed or whatever. So it's like they're not contacting each other, like, but they're all still like sharing in this one little moment in time, and it's the fact that it's portrayed without dialogue, I think, kind of like adds to that.
Yep. And then we see like because going back to the anxieties about Kurapika's like potential negative role in the story, like Kurapika's not like Leora tries to contact him and presumably doesn't go through, because we see Kurapika just like brooding over with the eyes that he's gathered, he's kind of cut off from it. And then we get a scene that what reading it again, because I wanted to bitch about this fucking Kiroko, what an asshole. Imagine going to a funeral disguised as the dead person, like what? But no, apparently because I don't know, they mentioned Killua and like he's in the suit, so I'm wondering if maybe there was he was recommended for the job opening, and so he's now like one of the butlers for the Zoldyck family.
Yeah, perhaps? I don't know. I'd almost wondered if like maybe somehow like this character was gonna like masquerade as Goto, as if Goto never died. Like there was gonna be, I don't know. Something you had said earlier made me think that, but I don't remember what it was. But yeah, it's also interesting because like the Kiriko were a connection that Killua made like through Gon. Like Gon said like here are these people who helped me kind of get to the hunter exam, and go make contact with them. And so like now the fact that there like is a potential connection there with Killua could be interesting.
It's kind of like it's just like a weird little moment, and I was always pissed about this fucking this is a dick move, bro. But no, it's not really. But yeah, it is kind of like, well, maybe we'll see more of this character in the when we get more of the Zoldycks too. So yeah, I don't know. And of course it ends off with a little bit of a we go back to the East Gorto, and we see Komugi holding Meruem's hand.
And you got the two, the Googie tiles.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what the characters are. I'm sure it's something important.
You're right. Yeah, I don't know either. Because, like, there's the different... So maybe one of them's king, because, so, and then the other one's something relative to Komugi. I hadn't thought... Yeah, I don't know the symbols either, so, or what the pieces were, so...
I also like the little, this is completely unrelated, but, like, in the little, the volume sort of, like, interludes, you have, like, the, like, promotions for the Phantom Rogue movie, and so you've got, like, they're, like, on this, like, quiz show or whatever. There's, like, one with Gon where he's, like, I don't know, they're like, please put your hand on the buzzer and actually do the thing. Or you have, like, Killua doing a thing, and he's, like, all happy, and then, like, after the fact, he's just, like, exhausted, and he's, like, ugh, because he had, I don't know, it's, like, some press thing. And then you have one with Karapika where it's, like, a quiz show or whatever, and he's, like, all, like, subdued and somber, and he's like, oh, you don't mind if I win, I'm not clever or mature enough to tilt the balance in your favor. And then he's, like, all dramatic, like, and then he's got the wrong answer. It's just good little...
They're so dumb and good. Yeah, it's funny. So anyway, that about wraps it for our current discussion of Hunter x Hunter until the next arc ends. I don't know when that will be. No one does. Like, see with Wano, like, especially, like, I still don't know when it'll end, but it's still going. Like, it's chapter by chapter. It's coming out. So I know, we might actually get to do another episode of One Piece one of these days.
Ooh.
Yeah, but
Hunter x Hunter, maybe we'll eventually get to go beyond Netero, but I don't know. That was a bad joke. That was a terrible joke.
I liked it, though, because I'm a dad, and I like bad puns, apparently. That people won't get unless they've actually read the manga. But now the anger is setting in, because how awful that was. Okay, so I guess now we're going to finally get to our arc rankings, fights, and characters that we liked. As I ruminate over where to set the 13th chairman election. Because it's a good arc among other good arcs, and I'm like...
Yeah, that's the thing. None of the arcs are bad, but it's like, which one is the least good?
Alright, I think I know where I'm going to set it. So, do you have your arc ranking ready? Shall we go start off?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're going to be fairly similar. I'm pretty sure at the bottom we both have the Zoldyck family, which as we mentioned, it's just kind of like
it's one that's like, more like, I like quality and quantity, and the Zoldyck family doesn't have enough quantity.
Yeah, well, and even then, like, I think, like, it's a very great, like, setup arc. It's a very great bridge arc, but it's not, like, as an arc, it's, like, not as, interesting or compelling to read, and it's like it does a lot of important stuff, especially like looking back at it retroactively, but like it's still,
especially like with like the chairman election arc, like they're without the Zoldyck family arc, like who's Goto, who's Kanari, who are these people, like
it's set like the chairman election is like it's able to be short and sweet because of especially the Zoldyck arc, but like still on its own, like as an arc, like the Zoldyck family, as important as it is in the story, it's like it's just like it's probably like the least enjoyable stretch of chapters for me, and going into like my second least favorite arc, like the Heaven's Arena is also like, fun character stuff. It's got, it sets up Nen really well, but it's just like, it's got, the Gon and Ahsoka fight is fun, but like, it's just,
yeah, I also agree, like, which is like, it's, because it does a lot. It does a lot to introduce Nen, and it starts setting up stuff with the Phantom Troop, and Gon versus Hisoka is probably one of my favorite fights in the entire series. I mean, there's really nothing I can say about it negatively. It's just, I have more positive things to say about other arcs. It's just
good, but it's not as good as other arcs, right? Because like after this point, we get like I'd rate the weaker arcs here like still as like an 8. Like I'd give, if I were to rate arcs, I'd guess I'd still give Heaven's Arena like a 7. Like it's still good. It's just like every other arc I'd give
7. Meanwhile, I'm here like all these arcs are at least like a 9 out of 10.
I guess we didn't, because like I don't know, like, because overall I definitely give Hunter x Hunter a 9 as like anime and manga, because like it's just like I don't have as much of a personal attachment to it. So, but like Chimera Ant arc is like like if there were more, and if there's another like arc or two like as like good as Chimera Ant, then oh yeah, I'll give it like I'll probably end up giving it a 10 if it, but like it needs to get that far, because like, you know, it is sad that this series is so relatively short despite being as old as like Naruto and One Piece, which are, you know, like Hunter x Hunter, you know, is like a bit longer than half of Naruto, and One Piece is just a mammoth that will never end.
We read 32 volumes, and it's not enough.
Exactly. That's my thing, is like, you know, I really want more. Like I know like Togashi, like I have, you know, trust in him as a writer. I just like, I want to see more of his writing, basically. And we went through Yu Yu Hakusho, we went through Level E. Like, I've read most of his work, and I hunger for more. And it's like, it's not in a way with like, you know, with One Piece where it's like, there's so much of it that like, you know, as I'm getting more, and I'd love to see more, but I've also gotten so much from it that like I can't ask for more. Where with Togashi, with Hunter x Hunter specifically, it's like, can I have some more, sir? Like, you know, as much as I like it, like, I just, you know, again, it doesn't have the personal attachment for me to already give it a 10. As good it is, like, again, it's mostly, I rate things more for personal reasons than like, you know, quote unquote objective quality, because like writing wise, it's so like, it's like it nails so much that like it's so good. Right.
We need Nanika to be real so she can heal Togashi's back.
You're right. We don't need anime to be real. Just Nanika, or maybe Kenshiro, because he could do his fucking Fist of the North Star shit and also heal his back probably. I don't know. There's a bunch of healer anime characters we can barter. Though Nanika would be the cutest. So, anyway, what would you give after? Because I think our rankings are the same so far. But
yeah.
I guess...
So after like above Heaven's Arena, I think I put The Election.
Okay.
Which like I mean it's really good. It's really good. But again, I guess it's like I like quality and quantity. And there's only so much quantity of the Election arc, even though there's a lot of quality in there.
See, because my next one is actually the Hunter exam, which it's got a lot of great moments, a lot of great setup. Like, it's a really, like, going back to it, it's just like what it's doing. It's just really great and fun, and it's a really solid arc. I just also tend to like high points, and I think the other arcs every other arc also has higher, or not except for the ones I already talked about, have higher high points, I think, so not that
I have the Hunter exam points, we kind of just have those swapped with the Election, because I had Hunter exam above the Election because I think it does too much good setup to not be at least like up there. I don't know.
I don't think they're swapped. So yeah, your next one was the Hunter exam. My next one is actually York New. Yeah, the troop is really fun, and I don't know, it's just like I guess I like Killua and Gon a lot in the story, and like Kurapika's good, but I never really connected to him as much in the same way, and like it's a really interesting arc. I fully admit to maybe not fully grasping like the troop or Crollo as characters, like I still haven't watched that Alexander video. So it's like maybe the arc, like, again, York News is still a great arc. It just doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't connect to me or doesn't hit me in any specific way aside from being like really solid and having, like it's got great stuff in it, but it just doesn't like, I don't know, it doesn't hit me in a specific way that makes me think of it like strongly, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Well, I do think, again, the writing's good, it's interesting, but I don't know.
I'm going to be interested to see like where you have the Election arc then,
or what's up?
Because you wouldn't be the first person to have it ranked super highly, and like I get it. I understand.
I'm
when
sorry,
people
Discord's
have
breaking
their
up.
arcs.
I can't hear you at all.
Oh no, Discord, why?
So what were you saying? Because I didn't hear.
Well, yeah,
like
I'm curious to see where you have the Election arc then, because you wouldn't be the first person I've seen have that arc up super high in their rankings. And I get it. Like I could understand.
Yeah,
people have their like arc rankings. Like any of these could be anywhere, and I would understand because like they're all good arcs. They all have different points of appeal to them.
Yeah, I have the 13th. It's my third arc. It's the next one after York New, where it's like, because like I think it's where like all the setup from before, especially with like the Zoldyck family, like kind of has some payoff, and like I like the way the art, like you have these threads, like again, like the results of Netero's death and Kite's, that like there's like two plot lines that bump into each other. Like you got Killua, who's pretty much my favorite character in the series. Like he's a big focus. You have like it wraps up. It's kind of like, how you're talking about how like shonen stories, like, they have the big arc and you want more cooldown time. Like you could even say like this is a cooldown for the Chimera Ant arc. Like there's more levity.
Yeah.
Pariston is a fucking ass and he's funny. Oh no, he's a rat, not an ass. Ass isn't even on the Zodiac.
I could definitely see the election arc, like, when we have more context for future, because it does a lot of setup, too, for future stuff.
Yes, with the Zodiacs and the Hunter Association, right, like, it can be even better retroactively. It's just, like, I don't know, there's just a lot of stuff I like about the election arc as a short arc, where, like, so, like, even though York New has a lot of good stuff, too, like, even, like, the high points aren't as high for me as the elections, so, so, I don't know, and maybe part of it is just, like, me, like, re-enjoying Hunter x Hunter more going through it for a third time, like, and because that, like, once we hit Greed Island, I was like, yeah, Hunter x Hunter, so maybe part of it is that carrying over to the election, where it wasn't quite there for me until Greed Island, like, with York New, like, because, like I said, York New just doesn't connect to me in the same way some of these later arcs do, so... So anyway, what's your third favorite? Or you talked about York New.
Well, yeah, because my fourth
I hate
favorite
York
was
New apparently.
Like my fourth favorite was the Hunter exam. The third favorite for me was Greed Island, which is more just
right. Yeah,
Chimera Ant and York New being more. See, I'm in the position where I often feel like Greed Island gets slighted in these arc rankings, but yet it's only like my third favorite.
Right,
but there's
I'm
just
the
so
one who
many.
likes it more.
There are so many high points in it, and like it is sort of like the arc as a whole is an encapsulation of what Hunter x Hunter is about. It's just like enjoying the ride, enjoying the journey. And I mean, Greed Island is by way of like being this like game, and there's a lot of like cool setting details about it. It's just a very fun arc.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's good. Bisky gets introduced and she's great. And yeah, of all the arcs that, like, every arc is a training arc, this one is, like, the most training arc of the bunch, but I think it just shows that Hunter x Hunter is really good at doing training arcs as well.
Yeah, because when you bring up, like, yeah, it's a training arc, like, it's my number 2 arc. It's my favorite training arc in anything ever, probably. It's just, and like I talked about, it also, it has a very specific appeal to me in, like, how it deals with, like, the game stuff, how it evokes this like sense of wonder and adventure that I am too weak and unable to suspend myself and have that with games nowadays. So it's like it has that specific appeal to me, aside from like it has Gon and Killua, it has Bisky, who is great. I like how it's like, yeah, Genthu's a really simple antagonist, but he works perfectly for the arc, so that's not a detriment to me. And it's just like, I had, a whole podcast, like, yeah, it's just a fun arc. I just like it a lot. So your favorite number 2 would be York New?
Yep.
Yes, which was
for me,
really
like
close to,
for me, I think it's largely that it does so much to like flesh out the parallels, like the like the parallels and the contrast between Kurapika and Gon. And I mean, that's a large part of the appeal to me too, is how they play off of each other, and how one kind of represents the ideals the story is pushing and how the other kind of like contrasts that. And as well, like structurally, the fact that like Kurapika becomes the main character for a bit, but the main characters are still present, just not actively. And again, like it's part of like the detours thing. Like the characters are not actively pursuing their current goal. They are helping Kurapika. They're helping their friend. So it's like structurally interesting, but it's structurally interesting in a way that complements the greater narrative. And I can't think of many other arcs that appeal to me in the same way that York New does.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I know, I gotcha. And I think we both share the same favorite arc, where it's like...
Yeah, it won me over
hot
in
take.
this reading.
We're really gonna go with the unpopular pick here. Chimera Ant arc is our favorite arc in Hunter x Hunter. What do you know? No, that like it's a common pick for a good reason. It's the like it's hard to just get across like how good the arc is. Like it really is that good. Like the writing. Like, the palace invasion is so, like, I talked about how just, like, overwhelmed, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's even better in the manga because, like, when you're watching the anime, you're, like, having time pass before your eyes. So it's, like, when it tells you the time, like, you know, on some level, you know that's not true. But with manga, like, the fact that time is, like, it's, you know, as an author can spend a whole chapter on a single moment in time if they wanted to, and he kind of does do that. So it's like where time is more suspended in a manga medium. So like I said, that feeling when I saw like only 7 seconds had passed in these like 3 chapters or so, or like 5 chapters or so, like there was like an overwhelming feeling there that I just like never got, I've never really experienced before. Even reading it the first time, I don't remember that feeling. So like, and even the NGL half is like I almost like I think what I said is like I like the NGL half like better. It's like more engaging overall than the Palace Invasion, but the Palace Invasion has like the highest highs as well. So it's like they're really really close to each other. So like, it's just, I don't know. We talked enough about the Chimera Ant arc, and it's already like commonly discussed in the first place. Like it's excellent. Did you have more to say about the Chimera Ant arc aside from that? Like, because
we made a whole podcast about it. There's not really much else I can add.
2 whole episodes. Yeah, no. No, it's it's really good. I guess Kurapika Special would technically be my lowest ranked arc, but like, it's 2 chapters.
That's not an arc.
So anyway, favorite characters. Oh no, the hard part.
Yeah, choosing just 5 is like
I think I've like it was a top 5, but I think I've long since given up on choosing 5. like once we hit One Piece, especially where it's just like with all the Straw Hats, like you can't even choose 5 Straw Hats, let alone like the side characters and antagonists. Like, and since then I've really just given up on choosing. Like, okay, sure, with Rave we struggled to choose 5, you know, but like
at all.
Yeah. So Killua is my favorite. You know, he's just like, he's a good boy. And maybe that's because we have more completion to his arc. Like, because Gano is also really good. And then, you know, like with side characters, there's a bunch to choose from. I like Bisky, I like Moral, Hisoka. Like, cause that's especially why I like Chimera Ant, is because it introduces like a lot of the side characters I like. Komugi, Meruem, like Knuckle. You know, there's too many to choose from. Pariston, I need to add to my list because, holy shit, Pariston.
Like, yeah, Hunter x Hunter is very similar to One Piece in that it is full of, you know, a very strong supporting cast. Like, there are so many characters. Like, I mean, the fact that, like, Chitu is somebody who, like, I was interested in potentially making a video about. And what does he do? Like, he's just there. But, like, there's enough intrigue with him. And like the way he reflects the story, he's not my top 5 though. Like he's not that. Him being the aesthetic character is not. The dumbass energy can only get you so high on my list. But if I had to pick 5,
well, he definitely seems like the like MVP as far as like most fresh appreciation for on this going through the story. But anyway.
But yeah, if I had to choose 5, and this list would probably change like anytime you asked me. Like the top 3 are probably set in stone.
Really, I said the same thing when we were doing One Piece, and I talked about like arcs characters. Just ask me again, and it'll change. Like that's how it goes with stories where there's too much to like. Anyway, go on.
But yeah, my top 3 are Killua, Gon, and Kurapika, mainly because like Killua and Gon play off of each other well, and it's kind of hard to like not appreciate one but appreciate the other. And then the same with Kurapika. I mean, I've talked about, you know, how there's an interesting thematic contrast with him and Gon, and there's more that I want to see explored there.
Yeah.
But I guess then the last 2 I'll mention. I got to give it to Aluka because I mean, like there's a lot that I don't know, like the way that she is able to reflect Killua's arc, as well as, you know, the ideas that she explores on her own just by existing.
Yeah, which of course, you know, obviously has a personal connection with you, especially, you know, we just talked about
Yeah, like there's a lot more I've come to appreciate about Aluka's character over time. And like, you know, the fact that, you know, it was like 4 or 5 years ago that I, you went through Hunter x Hunter for the first time. And there's a lot that I've had like recontextualized since then. And so there are some characters I've come to appreciate more. Again, like Chitu was an example. Pariston was an example. But yeah, like Aluka, I think is just very good. Would protect. And then I guess I'll give the 5th spot to Hisoka because, like I said, there aren't many characters like him. He's the ultimate chaos factor. He can be anything. He can do anything for the story. As far as being like a plot device, like he is one of the most versatile characters in fiction, probably. Or at least, from what I've seen.
I'm not even going to try and give a top 5. I just gave out a list of, like, the ones that I found most notable. Like, that's not to say, like, I didn't mention Karapika or Leorio. I still like them, There's, the Phantom Troop is really fun as a group, even if, like, I'm not sure if I'd single any of them out that I did, except, but,
If I had to pick, like, some minor characters who I think stand out to me more than minor characters in a shonen action series full of so many characters have any right to, I'd probably pick like Chitu, Goto. Is there anyone else? That's all I'm gonna say for now, I guess.
Yeah, no, like Hunter. It's like it's
because we could do this all day.
Yeah,
we could sit here.
Like I was just about to mention
like
day. How like Bizef and Welfin were like also like effective in their like Bizef sort of like the negative parts of humanity like even the minor characters still like serve like notable purpose at times so they're like you can always at least appreciate them for that even if like. Actually, I was about to say, like, no one has Bizef as a favorite character, but I realized if I go to my list, there's going to be, like, 11 people who have him on their favorites list. So, anyway. I'm not going to choose 5 fights. I can't. I'm just going to list them.
This is normally a topic where, like, I sometimes struggle to find 5 fights
that you care about, right?
Yeah, because I tend to get more invested in, like, ideas and execution and stuff.
Right. You hate Bleach because it's all fight. No, you don't hate Bleach, but
I mean, like, some fights have, like, an interesting concept in it, but like Hunter x Hunter is different in that. Yeah. Well, not that there aren't other stories that do, like, the power play and the strategy and stuff. Like, one of my favorites from Naruto was Sasuke and Deidara, because there's a lot of, like, interesting mechanics involved and strategy and stuff. Easily, though, like, the dodgeball game has to be the best fight, because pure hype factor, it's so much. It's so much. Yeah, and it's dodgeball. Down. Like, it's like the inner kid in me is just like, dodgeball.
Right, the coolest sport, exactly. No, I have that one listed down because it's just really fun. It's got like, it's basically a sports match, but with like one thing I wish that the genre would explore more actually is like super powered like non-battle stuff because like you do get like and if we ever it ranks pretty high in the patron poll, Toriko, which my favorite arc. Thinking back to it is actually it's like a gambling thing like you might see in like Kaiji or season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh or Liar Game, like one of those things, but they have superpowers and it's food focused still, so it's like I thought like I'd love this author to do that, like superpowered gambling manga, and it's just like, and yeah, this is a superpowered dodgeball match, like the like Goro Inu was doing like the switching around and stuff, and Hisoka's bungee gum, like I like seeing like you get lots of sports series, but it's I don't know how you'd be able to like work superpowers into them organically except for doing it as a side thing. So maybe what I'm asking for isn't doable, but it is really interesting for that fact, because it's not a straight fight, but here it is, Yeah,
the Hisoka versus Gon fight in Heaven's Arena has always been another favorite of mine. It's just good, and it's again like when we're first getting introduced to like the basics of Nen, there's a lot of interesting setup there, and as well as just like being a payoff to what was set up in the Hunter exam. It's fun, although I guess ultimately, technically, my favorite fight in Hunter x Hunter we can't talk about because we didn't get to it yet. Now that I think about it, like as far as strategy goes and complicated abilities, that one's. But otherwise, Netero versus Gon and Killua on the blimp is another one that has kind of like always stuck with me for reasons I tried to explain. And even though it's more of like a minor thing and maybe not like a fight, but that one's just always kind of stuck with me. And yeah, it's good. I mean, Gon versus Genthru, obviously, gotta mention that one because it's a lot. And then I don't know, Netero versus Meruem.
That one's weird for me because like I wouldn't list it among my favorite fights, even though like I talked about it a lot last time. Like it's interesting, it's perfect for the arc, but like for some reason like it does a lot for Netero's character, but for some reason I don't know. I just never like, especially because like I would say like if you're gonna talk fights, like is it cheating to count the entire palace invasion, because it's like it's not quite one fight, but it's like so like because it's such like just in general like everyone versus the royal guards is like or specifically mostly Yopi and Poof, I guess, but because it's like again it's not very direct, but Gon versus I guess to list off some of my other fights, Gon versus Pito, of course, is very brutal. Gon versus Hisoka, as you mentioned. Gon versus Hanzo is one that I really appreciated a lot on this read through, just because it's funny, and also because like Hanzo's like practically a gag character, but it also like it's also just interesting for a couple, as I talked about. Honorable mention to the badge hunting on the fourth phase, because that was what I really started to do, like get my foot in the door with Hunter. I go like, yeah, Hunter, the Genthru fight is cool. Like it's got like the tactics stuff, and just seeing like how the greed theme is explored through Gon and Genthru. Then Killua versus like Ikago and the two siblings is great one for Killua and Ikago's character moments and stuff, and of course how it contrasts with Gon encountering Melioran.
I forgot about Killua and the two siblings. That's like the ultimate, probably like what is the potential of Nen like as a combat.
That's a good one. Like there's just too many. And of course, I guess another honorable mention would be like Evogan like brutally killing the assassin guys, because fuck those guys. I don't. Yeah, no, it's just a lot. There's a lot, and give me more Togashi, pour it onto my face. Maybe I'm being greedy, asking for more, but I don't know. I wish Togashi was less dying. We all do, I think. But yeah, no, Hunter x Hunter, great series. I'd love to discuss more of it. Eventually.
Eventually.
So yeah, thank you for listening. I guess for the reading, for next time, Soul Eater. I'm kind of curious about it. So I've read like, we're reading Fire Force on the Weep Club. So it'll be interesting to have it as a comparison point, since I've also heard some things about Soul Eater. All I know is that the art starts off not very good, but he gets like, in Fire Force's art is fucking amazing, but so we get to see like the Yu Hakusho thing of him like growing into that, I guess. Or more like, we'll talk about Soul Eater. I just need to pull up the chapters we're reading. So it's only going to be 4 episodes for our patron pick, and then we're going to do Boruto, by the way. So, and then we'll do the old school block, which will be a series that we'll reveal during Soul Eater, I assume, for the poll where we pick which one we do first. The old school block, of course, being series from that started in 79 or earlier. But for our first reading of Soul Eater, we will be reading, starting from, I think there's there's apparently chapters 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3, so there's like 3 chapters before chapter, I don't know. We'll read it. We're reading up to chapter 23. I think there's an arc called Medusa Invasion. Well, because there's like a lot of Soul Eater arcs. Like a lot of them are only like 3 chapters long. It's a monthly series, so like chapter 23 is actually like 5 volumes or so. So 3 chapters is more like I don't know. The arcs length seem, I don't know. There's a lot of short arcs, so like yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I'm curious about Soul Eater. You've watched the anime, right, Mathwiz?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. See, I've known it's existed for like over a decade, for like 13 years, but I never watched or read anything. And until recently, I never watched or read anything by the same author, so. All right, well, we'll see how it goes. First patron pick. So anyway, thank you for watching, listening.
I can't believe this is like, for the foreseeable future, the last Nen Show. I feel like we need some sort of like send-off.
You're right. I don't know.
I can't think of anything though. It's not about how we end things. It's not about the destination. It's about the detours.
Right. We talked a lot about Hunter x Hunter. Isn't that enough, Mathwiz? We have a 3-hour episode on a 20 chapter arc. Isn't that enough, Mathwiz? No, well, I mean, that's only mostly because we were talking about the Kurapika special and our arc rankings and stuff. So anyway, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. There might be some hiatuses in the future. We'll work through it. We'll work through it. Just, this is why it's not a monthly podcast, right? Or not a monthly Patreon right now because of limitations. So anyway, thank you for listening. We will see you next time.
That's the real ending of we're really embodying the Hunter x Hunter spirit by going on the hiatuses. Yeah.